The chairperson will call for the adoption of the agenda, and we will utilize a poll, some electronic means to confirm our positions as far as the adoption of the agenda. Then we will have the secretary of the caretaker committee brief us on the summary points from the last EGA. Perhaps there's some persons who were not here at the last EGA. We want to make sure that everyone is carried along. Following that, we will have updates by the caretaker committee, and we'll have each of them, we will have the secretary give us a summary, and then we will have the committee members themselves give us their testimonials of the process they experienced in carrying out the assignment that we gave them. Following that, we'll open up for general discussions from the House, and then we will all collaborate in discussing the way forward. This will be followed by any other business, adjournment, and closing in that order. At this time, permit me to bring to the spotlight the chair of this meeting in the person of Mr. Rumundaka Wanodi. You have the microphone, sir.
Okay, good afternoon. I believe it's whether you're on the East Coast or the West Coast, it's now afternoon. First, on behalf of the Caretaker Committee, I would like to welcome everyone to this second Extraordinary General Assembly of UBAANA. The last time we met, you gave us some mandates of what to do, and primarily this meeting will be for us to present some of the what we've done between then and now, and then have discussions and a way forward. It's a Saturday, and again, I appreciate everyone who's logged in. Unlike the last meeting where we were there for 4 hours, necessitated by the fact that we wanted to make sure that our members made contributions. We'll try to keep this short so that even members of UBAANA who have local engagements, like people in Houston, in SoCal, everywhere, can go ahead with their weekend. So please, when you make contributions, I ask on behalf of the committee that we keep it short and just quick so that we can achieve much more in a shorter period. But again, thank you very much. And this meeting is now called to order.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, permit me to introduce to us the members of the committee, and also to remind us of just some simple housekeeping rules. This committee is comprised of Patrick Bob Egbe, Austin Ifedira, Namdi Madwekwe, Kingsley Oyse Mamodu, Tim Mosier, Ngozi Obi, Edith Ojo, Lionel Osahe, and Rumundaka Wanodi, who just welcomed all of us. At the point where they share their testimonials about their experiences and the process and the journey in executing their role as caretakers, they will give us more information about themselves and their association with this great organization. Let's talk about housekeeping. We are very confident that we will have a productive meeting today. We're very confident that everybody will cooperate in ensuring that we have a smooth, deliberation, and that we have, productive, successful outcome. In order to ensure this, I want to encourage everyone at this time, if you're in the meeting, go ahead and scan the QR code. We still have a few persons that have not registered, have not signed in. Complete that action, sign in. We will require that everyone name your Zoom profile with your first and last name, the way that you have it in the sign-in register, so that we can authenticate, who is in the meeting room and the actions that you take as we go along the meeting. We are asking that you kindly, remove iPhone, Samsung, Zoom user, and all those pseudonames that do not identify you, or incognito profiles. It should be your first and last name. If we do take, any motions, if we do have any votes, it will be by electronic process. We will utilize Zoom polls. We do have a backup of Google Forms if we need a backup. We are asking all participants to kindly remain muted during the meeting and to indicate that you would like to share, like to speak, like to make a contribution by raising the electronic hand. Zoom has that electronic, raise hand feature. We ask that you use that. After you have been recognized and you have made your contribution, we ask you to kindly mute yourself back. We will ask that if you have questions for the host, if you have comments, that you go ahead in the chat area and send me your comments, your questions, any critical contributions that you need to make. Feel free to send me a chat. We encourage everyone to please observe all the standard protocol of a meeting of this dimension, asking that we please be respectful in our dialogue. We please try not to disrupt people that are speaking. We use language that is professional. We show respect, decorum in our tone, in our demeanor, and in every way that we choose to communicate. The last point that I would like to make before I hand it over to the chairperson is that when we do get to the point where we want to have discussions, we are asking that everyone will take a moment and reflect on what we want to say. And in order to facilitate that, we are going to request you to just share your thoughts, share your comments, share your expressions one way or the other via a form. We will provide the link when we get to that point, and we will show it to everyone. And then based on the time that we have, we will now allow people to come and, flesh out the comments that they've made. This enables us to capture everyone's inputs, which we're not able to do because of time. We can't get everyone, to speak their minds, but we can read your thoughts. And that's why we're going to use that process. At this time, permit me to invite back the chair, Mr. UBAANADEC9EGA. Thank you.
Thank you very much, moderator, for that. Our next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. If you will put that up, and if there is nothing to change in terms of language, then I would invite the adoption. If there is any substantive matter, maybe that came from the last meeting that it's not captured, then we can put it here. But there is a provision number 8 for any other business that could cover something. So unless you feel that there is something significant that needs to be standalone or that needs to come under the agenda, please. Let's hear. If not, I would ask for someone to move a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
You're able to indicate that you're moving that motion with an electronic raise hand feature.
Yeah, if somebody raises their hand, then you can ask for them to
unmute.
yeah, to move the motion, and then we hear what exactly, whether it's an adoption or a suggestion for an amendment. Okay, there, okay. I can see,
William,
William, yes.
so I'm going to find you, and yes, you're kindly requested to, you have the microphone. Go ahead and speak.
No, I'm just moving the motion to adopt.
Okay. Secondment, please. John Kadiri has seconded.
Thank you.
Okay, so moderator, that is done. Next item is number 4, summary of points from the last extraordinary general meeting. I know that assembly, I know that this some of this might have been posted on the, or definitely were posted on the business forum, but for the sake of this meeting, I think the critical committee thought it necessary that I be represented as a short form of a minute of the last meeting and fully adopted. You're muted, moderator.
Thank you so much. We'd like to invite the secretary to the caretaker committee, Ms. Ngozi Obi, to go ahead and give us the summary of the points from the last EGA. You have the microphone.
Thank you. Good afternoon and evening, everybody. This is Ngozi Obi. I'm just going to read an excerpt from what we posted to the chat on November 9th. So the EGA was well attended on October 28th. Turnout was about 116 unique participants, with about 60 individuals remaining engaged throughout the entire 4-hour call. After a robust discussion, the EGA charted a way forward with the following resolutions. Resolution 1, 90% endorsed the motion affirming that the meeting was a well-constituted extraordinary GA. Resolution 2, the GA in a unanimous decision, 46 of 46 respondents, resolved that UBAANA should remain as one body. Resolution 3, the EGA, without dissent, recognizing the absence of an EXCO to direct the affairs of the association, resolved to and constituted a caretaker committee consisting of past presidents, original trustees, and 4 general UBAANA members. The proposed committee's responsibility is to manage the affairs of the association with a specific mandate to oversee the transition to a new EXCO. The caretaker committee will organize this election in adherence to the provisions of the UBAANA Constitution. In addition, the committee is mandated to exhaust all options to bring any splinter groups at this time, that is Alex and his supporters, under one UBAANA umbrella until elections are held. The EGA was adjourned until December 9th, at which time the caretaker committee was charged with providing updates on plans for the election and results from their outreach efforts to resolve the impasse. That's an excerpt from our last meeting for those that were not there, and for those that were, just a refresher. Back to you, Dr. P.
Thank you so much. At this time, we will invite, I'm guessing this is you, to give us an update of your journey, of your assignment as the secretary of the caretaker committee. Am I correct?
Hold on. I don't want us to miss a point. The excerpt being provided, and I said this as we were inviting our secretary, that this is a short form of the minutes of last EGA, because it was 4 hours, and we wanted to distill the nobody called, this called, and all that. And because it was also online, it's difficult to say what time it started, because people were at different time zones and things like that. But this, in essence, is the outcome of that last meeting, and it's important for the House to affirm that this is what it is, and this is in recollection. So whoever was at that meeting, I recall this, could then vote and say that this is what was arrived at, and then so that we can accept it as a moved motion of conclusions of the last meeting.
And of course, that will be if there are no questions. So if there are any questions or comments, please, this is a good time.
Yeah, so that would be, so we have comments on it, and then we adopt it as what was, because this was not written at the end of last meeting. This was the recollection and from pull out from the recordings and presented by the caretaker committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so we're requiring by raise of hand, if you have questions, or if you were at that meeting and you would like to move a motion to adopt this summary as presented, go ahead and please indicate by raise of hand. Would you like to maybe repeat your instructions, Mr. Chair? You're muted.
I said that what was presented by the secretary of the caretaker committee was just a short minute of the meeting of the last EGA, and I was inviting anyone who attended that meeting to provide comments or an adoption. And if there are no comments, then we can adopt that as presented. Yes, Paul Mukoro has his hand up. Mukoro, sorry.
Thank you, and he's able to unmute. Can you go ahead and give a verbal, give us a verbal response, Mr. Paul Mukoro? You have the microphone, Mr. Paul Umukoro. Mr. Chair. He has his hand up, but does he need to say something? Do we assume that he's moving a motion?
Yeah, we can assume that he's moving. Is there any other person to support? If he moves the motion, then any member, and then he's
William.
He's seconded by William. Okay. Thank you very much.
Supported.
Thank you. So may we proceed at this time and invite the secretary to give us a summary of the caretaker committee's updates, in essence, the report of their deliberations and their actions over the last few weeks. Go ahead, Ms. Ngozi.
Okay, hi, everybody. I'm going to briefly, or as briefly as possible, go through excerpts of our outreach. Once I'm done, individual members of the committee are going to give their own updates. So I don't want it to be repetitive, so mine is going to be brief. And afterwards, if more detail is needed, then we can continue. So our EGA was on October 28th. And on November 5th, we had our first meeting of the caretakers committee. We met every Sunday. So after that, after November 5th, we've met every Sunday. So we started our outreach the following day, and that was outreach to the past presidents that were not part of the caretaker committee, which was Dr. Uyi and Dr. Lanry. From the caretaker committee, there was a smaller group that was constituted for specific outreach to Dr. Uyi and Dr. Lanry, and that was myself, Tim Mosier, Lionel, and Dr. Namdi. So we met with Dr. Uyi on the 5th. That conversation was very challenging. Dr. Uyi basically shouted over us, and the call was abruptly ended when he hung up. That was our first outreach. Following that, we met with Dr. Lanry on the 11th of November. That call was distinctly different. It was spirited, it was genuine. We had a good conversation. Ultimately, Dr. Lanry told us that he could not join the caretaker committee, but he enjoined us to have a conversation with Alex and his supporters to, continue the conversation about continuing UBAANA as one. So after that, the outreach was more so reaching out to Alex and his supporters to find an appropriate time for us all to meet. Austin Ifedera was one of the people who worked on that, and I was able to get a meeting put together. Originally, the meeting was for the caretaker committee and just about an equal number of Alex and his supporters. Ultimately, what happened was a much larger call of about 30 people on December 2nd. I'm going to read to you some of the summary of what happened that was last week, Saturday. Austin says, Alex he said he never did anything wrong and that he followed the Constitution and all its processes. His attorneys have advised him that he is a president. He threatened to continue to engage attorneys, and the overall tone of Alex and his supporters was unrepentant and unapologetic. It was his way or the highway. Tim Mosier's recollection was, Alex declared himself the legitimate president, here to stay for the next 2 years, whether we liked it or not. Edith was only able to join that call for about 10 minutes. When she joined the call, Alex was speaking, or as Edith says, Alex was shouting, I am the president. There is no leadership vacuum in UBAANA. I am the president. He repeatedly said, I am the president. Continuing to that, Edith says, that Ruundaka started to bring the meeting to a close, as it was clear that there was no resolution that could be reached, with one side staunchly obstinate and giving that nothing had been done on their part. Various and all outreach efforts of this committee have failed. Kimo's recollection of that meeting, there were numerous suggestions on how to end the impasse until Alex made his remarks. His speech was very revealing, and it was clear that his idea of compromise was to keep the status quo as is until 2025. In his words, anybody who does not accept him as a president could go to hell. Oisith says that the meeting on December 2nd was a disaster, with Alex's group unyielding on all fronts to find a way to bring UBAANA together again as one. It was either their way or no way. Rumundaka says, the meeting on December 2nd allowed us to establish one critical issue, that there was a gap in the process that Uyi and Alex claim elected Alex and his team. Dr. Lanre, in his contribution on that call, noted that there was a lack of voting or an affirmation, and that there were several indisposed motions on the floor of the GA when it was called to a halt. The caretaker committee members bore quite a significant amount of insults, only believing that the EGA asked us to do whatever is reasonable. We ignored more than reasonable insults during this engagement. So these are just some of the brief comments that were noted. I would say for my part that I'm in agreement with what I've read out from my other committee members. On a personal note, I was frankly surprised at some of the language that was used on these calls. I was surprised at the insults and abuse that was lobbied back and forth. I was one of the women who came together several years ago that led to UBAANA. And in those early days, there was so much consensus. I was really proud of it. But that call on December 2nd, I was really taken aback that UBAANA had devolved into this. So I don't want to say any more. Each member is going to say their piece. This was just a summary. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Secretary. This is the order in which we're going to hear testimonials from the committee members. First, I'm going to invite Austin Ifedira to share with us his insights, his testimonials, recollection of all that the committee experienced in their quest for the mandate for one UBAANA. You have the microphone, Austin Ifedira. And while he's speaking, I'll ask Nnamdi Maduekwe if he's in the house. I know that he's at work, but if he joins us, I'll ask him to get ready to go next, followed by Kingsley Oise Momodu, and then Tim Mosier, Edith Ojo, Lionel Osage, and Rumundaka Wonodi. That will be the order in which you will hear your testimonials to the House. Go ahead, you have the microphone.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. My name is Austin Ifedira, dentistry class of 1991. I'm an original trustee of UBAANA, and that means that after the group of 12 did their work, Rumundaka, myself, and a few other people actually formed the LLC, not LLC, the 501c3 that's known as UBAANA today. And in those days, we were, very idealistic, and we had great plans for UBAANA. a lot of it has been achieved before we got to this impasse, and I hope we're able to get through it. So I'll try not to repeat some of the things that have been said already. After the subcommittee reached out to Uyi and Larry, and to some extent Alex and his crew, and you know, the reception they got was I'll be charitable when I say unprofessional, at the very least. So I decided to lean on past relationships and called up Uyi. I also called Lawrence Adu. And I mean, after a lot of back and forth, we decided that we will give it one more shot, right, during this meeting. And our agreement on multiple calls was 6 to 7 people from your side, 6 to 7 people from our side. And initially we had the meeting scheduled for November 24th. Sorry, my son's distracting me. For November 24th, they asked that it be moved. We moved that to December 2nd. At the actual meeting on December 2nd, the meeting quickly devolved into a lot of back and forth, a lot of naming, a lot of, position taking, and, like really rigid positions. But somewhere in the middle, we were able to start discussing ideas of what needs to happen. And eventually we got to the point where I thought we were making progress. We had a lot of ideas thrown out on possible solutions. And all of this time, this was a 3-hour meeting, 3 hours plus. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. My son's opening multiple times. Can you hold on? All right. So in the 3-hour meeting, Alex did not say a word. Everybody else was speaking. So towards the end of the meeting, he finally came on. And like everybody has noted, it was a shouting situation all through. I think at one point I timed his initial speech. He spoke for about 12 minutes and essentially declared himself the president, and he wasn't leaving. There was no compromise, and we should all do what we wanted about it. So that was my recollection on the meeting. I've come to a personal conclusion that unless something changes drastically amongst Alex and his supporters, that the dream of a united UBAANA might be just a dream for now. So that's my conclusion. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Austin Ifedira. We're going to invite Oyse Mamadu to share his testimonial, his recollection of the process that this committee worked in achieving your mandate to them. You have the microphone, go ahead. You might want to unmute yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, am I good now?
Yes,
Yeah.
you did. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Makulu. And I would like to say thanks to all the men and women who have made our time to attend this very important meeting. My name is Kingsley Oisemamadu. I graduated from the Faculty of Dentistry, and I was UBAANA president from 2017 to 2021. I belong in the North Carolina chapter. I joined in collaboration with the efforts of all the other UBAANA past presidents, excluding Dr. Ibinadolo and Dr. Larry, to stop the bleeding. After the Midwest and the SoCal chapters withdrew their participation because of how badly the UBAANA electoral process had been undermined and compromised, amongst other things. We did a lot, and all that culminated in the last extraordinary General Assembly meeting. Well, I'll try not to be very repetitive because of time, but in my quest for unity, I agreed to participate in the December 2nd meeting with Alex and his team. I thought that was, I was very happy. I was very enthused because, I mean, the stakeholders were at the table, and anyone who has participated in high stakes meetings like that knows that the only way to move forward is through compromise, is through negotiation and persuasion. Nothing is achieved with chest thumping, and I was really happy that we had an opportunity to sit at the table, exchange our thoughts on the impasse. I really thought that we had come to some kind of resolution. And the meeting went on. It was heated, but I was just happy that we could be at the table and we're talking. That for me was a win. And a lot of people said some very, made some very heartwarming suggestions on how to move forward. I really focused on the positives. There were many negatives, but I focused on the positives. Until Alex made his remarks. Of course, Dr. Oyi was a distraction, but I didn't pay him any attention. When Alex spoke, his speech was very revealing, and it was clear that his idea of compromise was to keep the status quo as is until 2025. In his words, anybody who did not accept him as president could go to hell. He reiterated he was elected and duly sworn in and all of that, I was taken aback. I served as president of this association for 4 years. And if I learned anything in that time, I learned that as UBAANA president, you were the chief beggar, you were the persuasion officer in chief. There's no dictatorship I didn't meet the culture of dictatorship in UBAANA, but it was jarring. After listening to him, I was convinced he did not have a care for one UBAANA. I saw a person who only cared about his title and position as president, with no commitment or concern for the well-being of our dear UBAANA. Every president gets tested. There's always a time when you are in a situation where you choose whether UBAANA wins or you win. I saw a person who did not care about UBAANA winning. It was about his position, his title, and that was all he was about. You know, so after everything, I am very disappointed that we may have reached the end of the road. In my view, it's time for the General Assembly to chart a way forward. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Kingsley Osemamadu, and I would like to invite Tim Mosier, and I thank the rest of the committee for keeping your remarks short, you know, and to the point. Let's welcome Tim Mosier. You have the microphone. Thank you for all of the sacrifice all of you have made.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tim Mosier. I graduated with undergraduate degree from University of Benin in 1979, political science. I went back there for a graduate degree, which I got in 1981 in international politics. I'm from SoCal chapter, Southern California chapter, and the immediate past chair, and was nominated to the Critical Committee during the October 28 EGA and tasked alongside other committee members like Lionel, Ngozi, and Nnamdi with reaching out to two past UBAANA presidents in an effort to convince them to collaborate with the Critical Committee so we can achieve a united UBAANA. President Uyi dismissed our efforts and hung up on us during our conversation. President Lanre was neutral and insisted on inviting President Alex and a few of his ardent supporters to meet with the Critical Committee. This meeting occurred on December 2nd. And at that meeting, we tried to impress on Alex and his supporters the need for one united UBAANA, importance of legitimizing the current executive, either via affirmation by the EGA or an election open to anyone who wishes to contest for office. These entreaties were totally ineffective and dismally unsuccessful, as Alex declared himself legitimate president, here to stay for the next 2 years, whether we liked it or not. I had a pretty open mind going into these meetings, but frankly was extremely disappointed that our efforts did not yield desired results. So I feel it's now up to the EGA to determine next steps, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Tim Mosier, and thank you to all the speakers before him. We have heard from Ngozi Obi. At this time, we're going to invite Edith Ojo to the microphone. And I ask you to please unmute yourself. Thank you.
I guess that always works.
Yes.
It works better when you can speak into the mic.
We don't
Wow.
have the superpowers of hearing you behind a muted microphone. Thank you and welcome.
Okay. So now that we have passed the witchcraft stage, good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, I am Edith Ojo, graduate of Faculty of Arts in the University of Benin. I am from the New York, New Jersey chapter, and I'm a past national president of UBAANA from 2015 to 2017. Recent unprecedented events in UBAANA have, of course, necessitated these meetings that we are having now. Efforts to chart a united force between the different factions of UBAANA have failed from what we have heard from everyone who has spoken so far today. And like the secretary said, I was not opportune to attend the meeting with Alex and his partners, except for about 10 minutes due to my work schedule. In those 10 minutes, as I logged in, Alex was speaking. Other than saying I am the president several times and then emphasizing I am the president, there is no leadership vacuum. He also had said that the reason he ended the GA in Dallas abruptly was because people were climbing over chairs and knocking each other over, and it was rowdy at the time he was speaking. Several people spoke after him, and then I was recognized to speak, and he did not let me speak. So I kept quiet for a while, and then it was impugned upon him that I needed to speak because I had been recognized. So I corrected the notion that at the time he ended the GA, there was nobody climbing over chairs. The only time there was commotion was when some of his supporters decided to beat up on the Southern California past chair, Paul Umokoro. And that happened few hours in the morning before this happened. So basically, that was really the only role I was able to play to correct the notion for those people who were not at the GA. So they will know that people were not jumping over the chairs. And Alex said he was confused and scared, and that was why he ended the GA. But that was incorrect. And that was all I said at the time, because I had needed to go back to work. But I have to tell you, Alex's tone was loud, hostile, belittling. I asked him to tone down his countenance, that all we wanted to do was try to meet and bring the warring factions together so we can go over to the next point. It very quickly became clear that this was not going to happen. I was disappointed. But at this point, I think Romundaka, who was chairing that meeting, also realized, as the other members did, that we were not getting anywhere. We could only do what we could do. If they were not willing to do anything other than what they have been doing, then we needed to move forward. At this point, we decided to come back, like we said we were going to do today, to report back on the assignment we were given as the caretaker committee. That you gave us an assignment, we tried very hard to do the assignment, we have failed. So now it's up to this GA to decide a way forward. So I say, let's discuss.
Well,
this is all I have.
Thank you. And just before we get to the point of discussing, I would like to bring to the microphone Mr. Lionel Osagie, if he is ready. Let's hear his testimonial. And I believe Ms. Nnamdi is in the room, Dr. Nnamdi. He's at work. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to share his testimonial, but if he can, could he please let me know? Mr. Lionel, you have the microphone.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Lionel Osagie. I graduated in 1983 in Red Business Admin. I'm from the Minos chapter, and I'm the immediate past chairperson of that chapter. I was nominated to the committee during the last EGA of October 28th. A week after the EGA, the CC, the Critical Committee, created a reach out subcommittee consisting of myself, Timosia, Ngozi, and Nnamdi Madueke to reach out to two past vice presidents in an effort for them to join the Critical Committee. I reached out to past President Uji, ended up with him hanging up on us rudely during the conference call. We had a back and forth explanation, trying to reason with him, but after trying to quote the Constitution continuously, he hung up on us. Past President Larry was neither here nor there during a call with him, but asked for a meeting with Alex's group and the Critical Committee. Our belief was that it was going to be the Caretaker Committee 9 members and 9 members from Alex's group. But as some of us have explained, they came with about 20 members to the forum, to the call. And it was a disaster on December 2nd, with Alex's group unyielding on all fronts to find a way to bring UBAANA together again as one. It was either their way or no other way. We're at the crossroad. All our efforts these past 6 weeks, every Sunday, with different members, have yielded nothing. Very, very sad to report this to the House. And in my opinion, it's a complete waste of our time. Other members have plugged in some of the comments when they did their reports. So we'll wait on this EGA for advice on the way forward based on recommendations that might be presented. Thank you, guys. Thank you for giving me time to speak.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lernell. We heard from the secretary in her capacity as secretary, and at the time she was giving a summary and a report, but now we'd like to hear her personal testimonial as a member of this committee. I bring back Ms. Ngozi Obi.
Thank you, Dr. P. So again, my name is Ngozi Obi, and I graduated in 1991 with a BSc in Business Administration. I live in New Jersey, and I was a former treasurer of the New York and New Jersey chapter. So for the December 2nd meeting that we're speaking on, I found the tone and the language used on this call was disheartening. We've moved so far from where we started as UBAANA. I felt the contempt of Alex and his supporters as we tried to come to any form of a consensus. It was not to be despite our best efforts. Alex's words were not that of a leader who wants to unite, but as a ruler who wants to rule with no questions asked. I went into this with the mind of one UBAANA, and that remains my goal, but I do not believe we can get there. I'm very much interested in the feedback from the EGA, and then I know that we can chart a way forward for our organization. Thank you.
Thank you again, Madam Secretary. At this time, I'd like to invite the chair, Mr. Rumundaka Munodi, to share his testimonial. And I'd like to make a gentle reminder to all in attendance. If you have not signed the attendance register, please do so. Simply scan the barcode, use the web address, or the link that we supplied. We want for everyone in this meeting to be accounted for. And I ask Mr. Rumundaka to please unmute his microphone and go ahead and share his testimony at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Just following the reporting protocol that's been set up by my colleagues at the Caretaker Committee. My name, again, is Rumundaka Munodi, 1989 graduate of Civil Engineering, Bachelor's in Civil Engineering, 1989. I'm one of the two original trustees of the association during its registration, the other person being Austin Federer. I'm also a foundation member of UBAANA. There are 41 people whose name were sent to Benin at the time. I wrote that email, I can remember. And I'm the first president of UBAANA. I reside in Maryland. Like every other person, I was nominated as a member of the Caretaker Committee and the subgroup of past presidents and original trustee. And I chair the Caretaker Committee. Now, prior to, one of the things that we did when the committee came together was that we devolved the outreach especially to our past president colleagues and other people, to the new members. When I say the members that were nominated at the last EGA to lead the outreach, where it might seem that we were already tented or we were with position so that they could take a more and present a more neutral face to this. So we sat back and they did the outreach. But because of my relationship with President Uyi, who was my treasurer at the time, and we undertook pioneer trips to University of Benin at the time UBAANA was being set up, I thought I should reach out to him. And I did. We had 3 calls before the December 2 meeting. This was after the meeting had been set up. And he was insistent, and I think there is a bit of an ego thing there. He was insistent that we should just, he actually was pleading with me that we should just manage and move on, you know, and then we can do an amendment to recognize the past president because he's not in the Constitution. Caretaker committee is not in the Constitution. He had done it for AMPA. We could do this, and then we can move forward. But the fact that there is no, there was no election and everything, except but there was a swearing in, and I reminded him that it was an illegitimate swearing in. Anyway, we entered the meeting, and it wasn't the meeting that we expected. We thought it would be a meeting of about 16, 17 people. There were at least 34 people who signed on to that. At one point, it was 27, 28. I can't remember the number that signed on. But we were making progress. We were able to establish that there was a gap in the process. We did not have an election. Even if we agreed to the point that there were people were unopposed, we did not have an election. So we established that and we called it a gap. And then there were suggestions about affirmation or things like that. And then, but we said that there were some motions on the floor, which President Larry himself acknowledged. He acknowledged there was a gap from his own investigation. He acknowledged there were motions. The only thing he said is that even if their motions were on the floor, that the president had the prerogative to discount them and override them. But where we said no, if the president had acknowledged the motions, he cannot just willy-nilly put it out. But so we established 2 things, that there were motions and then there was a gap. Now, the suggestions that it could be an affirmation seem to be going very well for peaceful resolution, but the whole thing was to establish that there was a gap, which we did. But once there was a mention that or that the other option is to extend the tenure of the last executive till next year when there could be an election. People who were talking affirmation, Uyi interjected, he interrupted that meeting so many times, saying that there was no gap, that, you know, there was a swearing in. And all their supporters started shouting again that there is no gap, that, you know, there is no need for an affirmation there. And when I was chairing that meeting, I thought that it made sense to hear from Alex, because all he had been doing is interjecting and supporting, yes, yes, when he said something, to let him speak, hoping that, thinking that any other person, seeing where things are going, would offer a conciliatory tone, because he had not spoken for 3 hours. I invited him if he could say anything. And that was how the meeting just went down to its end, because he told us 2 things which are concerning. One and foremost is that he's got the lawyers and that he was given a mandate at the last thing to take on lawyers. So he made it very clear that UBAANA, the account he has, he could use it to pay for lawyers, to go after anybody that he wanted to go after. That was concerning. And then, of course, his insistence that he is the president and there is nothing else that could be done about it, supported by you. So at this point, I think once he had spoken, there was nothing else to do. I think it was Bob Ebe that also reminded him that there is nothing anyone can go further but to just take this and bring it back to the General Assembly for just report and then discuss on a way forward. I want to thank the committee members who had the calls with President Uyi, President Larry, and then talked to Lawrence and a few other people. Those calls were not easy. Running that meeting of December 2 showed the much insults and aggravation. We bought that because we believe that we had a mandate. On an individual basis, I don't think anyone would have borne that much insult. So I thank everyone who took time to engage severally. We're here, and this is the summary of the report in the testimonials. I don't know if Dr. Nnamdi now has opportunity to speak. If not, I think we can just move to reactions from the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, everyone. If you take a quick look in the chat area, I do have Dr. Nnamdi's testimonial, and I will read it. You also have.
I can also read my moderator, please, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I can read. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Dr. Nnamdi is here.
Okay, is that his voice? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, that's his voice.
Okay.
Yeah. Good evening, fellow Banites. My name is Nnamdi Maduka. I'm a physician. I'm going to just read out what I wrote on the text on a chat, please. I was very hopeful we could achieve unity within UBAANA after the perceived injustice that followed our Dallas General Assembly meeting. I'm involved today because I passionately pleaded with President Alex prior to even the GA and after the GA to allow a level playing ground for the contestant for the president who was deemed ineligible. Many of us who were even Alex's supporters did not see the convincing evidence regarding the ineligibility of this particular candidate. And so we prayed that the General Assembly could be the highest arbiter or decision maker. You know, that did not happen in Dallas. We saw it coming that there was a potential for this, what is happening today, to happen. So coming out of the General Assembly, I also kept on Alex, and he played along with me. I was hoping that probably he really meant well, that he was interested in one UBAANA. A lot of things have played out. You know, I attended the last reconciliatory meeting on last Saturday. I saw when the chair gave Alex an opportunity to make a statement. I had wished at that point that Alex would sound reconciliatory, that Alex would humble himself, acknowledge mistakes were made, and acknowledge that he would do everything humanly possible to make up for it. I did not see that. He refused to toe this reconciliatory path. I saw arrogance, I saw conceit, and even though I was one of those who were begging, I pleaded during the last EGA that we should give peace a chance, allow for one UBAANA. At this point, I am personally convinced that a united UBAANA may no longer be possible based on the hardline position of our members who don't see the point that the GA, the General Assembly, is the final decision-making body of UBAANA. I rest my case. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nnamdi. And I want to say a big thank you to this committee, to all of you that have shared your testimonials I want to encourage the House to take, a few moments and reflect on what you've heard from Austin Ifedira, Nnamdi Maduekwe, Kingsley Momodu, Tim Mosier, Ngozi Obi, Edith Ojo, Lionel Osahe, Rumundaka Wonode. They have given you their recollections. They have given you details of the process and the experiences. And I would like you to digest all of that. And for us to do justice to the next item on the agenda, which is discussions. In order for us to do justice to that, I have pasted in the chat area, I have posted a link. We want to do this right for posterity. We want to make sure that we are able to accommodate, as many of your inputs, your comments as possible. So let's take a moment and click on the link. And let's first of all express our thoughts, express our ideas, our contributions. Let's discuss this in a concrete way. And then in collaboration with the chair, we will, based on time availability, call on some of you to hash out what you have typed, to clarify what you have typed. I'm going to hand over to the chair in just a moment. Just enough time for me to remind you, if you're in this meeting and you have not signed in, please do so. I'm going to project. So we're doing two things at the same time. We are at this time reflecting and typing our discussions, but also I want for us to see that out of about 41 persons, only 28 persons have signed in. At some point, I am going to identify those who have not signed by name. We don't want to do that yet, so don't be the person that I will need to call out. If you have not signed in, please do so. Also, you're supposed to have your first name and your last name as your Zoom ID. I am seeing some strange, identity. And so if that is you, please go and change what you have to your first name and last name. Samsung, I don't think there's anyone by the name Samsung. iPad, Habitat, and some of you have just your first name. Without wasting our time, I would like to yield this to the chairperson. At this time, we are having everyone complete the discussion form. We will project it, we will show your comments, and then we will, on some basis to be determined by the chairperson, we will give room for your follow-up conversations as time permits. Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. I think that what is the next item on our agenda? If there are reactions and people who want to speak, we ask that people or questions keep it to 2 minutes, and where we've spent about an hour and a half of the time we expected to use to conduct business. 22 minutes of that was waiting for people to join. So we want to be very quick. And then, so people who want to speak, please raise your hand, and then we take it in the other people have raised their hands.
Mr. Chair, just a quick comment that we did agree that in order for us to capture as many, we can't have 39 people speak. So we want all 39, and I dare say those who desire, we want to capture their sentiments. So we want everyone to first of all go to the form, complete the form with your thoughts. Then we will pick those that time permits for them to speak, if that's fine with you.
Well, as people are writing, there's time going, everybody. So I think that if people raise their hands and they want to talk, the ones who might put it on a chat. Some people might also be, might want to type. We could have said that before at the beginning. So people can continue to do that, but
yes, so we did add it to the housekeeping rules, and we sent that link early on. If you just give 2-3 minutes, I ask your permission Let us take 2-3 minutes because we want to be sure that we have, documentation, records of the sentiments across the room. We also want people to have time to think about their contribution, think about what they want to say. If you write what you want to say, you come back and just add to it. It's the time now is 4:34. I want to say if we take 2 more minutes at 4:36, we will open it up. Comments.
Okay, very good. So still yet just look out for first come, first served.
Yes, thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and project the sequence in which these conversations are happening. I also want to make a note that someone called Carolinas Fubara was the only one that earlier on indicated her intention to be a speaker. So we will give that person, he or she, will give them first go. Carolinas Fubara signed the pre-events speaker sign up. So at this time, I am going to put up the spreadsheet showing the contributions that you all are making to the discussion forum. Just give me a minute. And you do have 1 or 2 more minutes. If you have not started, typing in that form, you have 1 or 2 more minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for working with me. Thank you. We have a contribution from Francis Fabo-Hunda. I am assuming that so far he's the only one that has something to say. If not, I encourage the rest of you to please go ahead, click on the link in the chat area and make your contribution. This is for the sake of transparency. This is his comment. It says, as a member of this General Assembly, I want to move a motion for the dissolution of the current executive board of UBAANA. And that was Francis. Just give me a second. Yeah, that was Francis. And so let's hear from others. It's a very simple process. You can see how easily he has expressed himself. It's clear, it's organized, and we have a record of it. So the rest of you, could you please do the needful? In the chat area, we have posted the link. Just click on that link and share your comments, sentiments, your discussion points, your feedback based on the testimonials that you've heard. Thank you. We have 1 more minute. We're going to call on Carolina Fubara if she's in the house. Francis.
That will be Dr. Edward Fubara.
Oh, okay. Maybe the person is using their wife's.
Yes. So he's on the call as Edward Fubara. So.
Oh, okay.
If you can hear us, you can go ahead.
Okay, Edward Fubara said he was trying to register for the meeting, not the speakers list. Okay. So,
okay. I'm sorry.
Okay, he filled the wrong form, but the beautiful thing is that our task is so simple tonight. We're not going to be here for 4 hours. We have only one person that wants to speak. Only one person wants to respond to what we have heard. At this time, I am going to stop sharing my screen. And I am going to ask Mr. Chair if it's okay for us to invite Francis Fabo-Hunda to expand on the comments that he has made in the discussion form. Mr. Chair.
Yes, you should go ahead to speak. And I also recognize that some people might be on the move, might find it difficult to type or anything. So anyone that wants to speak after that could still raise their hands if they're not. If we see any hands raised, we'll accommodate that, just to make sure that technology is not limiting anybody.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. But the good news is we don't have 100 people that want to speak. And so we know we're going to be out of here very soon. Mr. Francis Fabohundu, Mr. Doctor, all protocol observed, you are able to unmute and speak. I have made you a co-host. Can you go ahead? And if you want to come on camera, that is okay too.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Francis Fabuhunda. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. And if you want to come on camera, that is okay too. Great.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Francis Fabuhunda, University of Benin alumni, 2006 from the physics department. Currently the financial secretary of the SoCal UBAANA chapter. And I want to, having heard everything I've heard up to this point, I want to move a motion for the dissolution of the current executives of the University of Benin Alumni Association of North America. Like there's, I don't.
Go ahead, sir.
I mean, a lot has been said, a lot has not been said, and if one can read in between the lines, we shouldn't waste too much time in doing what needs to be done. I believe the General Assembly has overall has the overall say, and as a member of the General Assembly, I want to move that motion. If it could be seconded and we move forward, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I yield to you. Mr. Rumundaka, we have a motion on the ground.
Yes, there is a motion on the ground, on the floor.
On the floor, sorry, yes.
However,
just before that motion, Mr. Chair, may I say something?
Sure.
Okay, I just want to remind the House that if you look on page 13 of the UBAANA Constitution, under section 8, it says discipline, and I will read what it says. It says, any person may be removed from office or board membership or censored if he or she shall fail to perform the functions of their office, including failure to attend meetings. And then it now went on and said embezzlement, or if that person commits other egregious act. So again, if you feel that what has been done is egregious act, then that is enough per the Constitution for anybody to call for removal of anybody in office. That's it. I yield to the chair.
Okay. Thank you very much. Francis, thank you for your contribution. I will. So here are the things why you might need to amend your motion. One is that UBAANA does not have any executive committee. So it would be, I don't think it will be consistent to say that you're dissolving one, because our understanding is that the last executive committee's period or tenure expired with a fruition of time. They're voted into an office for 2 years, and if after 2 years there is no election, I would assume that the tenure has ended, which was why in the meeting it was being proposed that that tenure should be extended by the GA to next year, and then there'll be new elections. So I was wondering that with this clarification, whether you would want to, or what you're thinking could be differently phrased. And at the same time, I also want to use the opportunity to see if there are any invitations on this discussion of this motion, or he should just go ahead and repropose his motion, given this, or just think about it and then think about how to restate or where you wanted to go with your motion. But I'm of the opinion that we do not, and that's consistent, that there is no executive in place. And what Alex and his team is doing is parading themselves as executive. They are really not in a place. Or they're not in place. Sorry. I don't know if anybody has even reaction to what I said or what Francis had said. I can see that Austin Federer has his hands up. We'll let him speak. And there is also Paul Umukoro. So those two people in that order.
Mr. Chair, do you want to let Paul go first?
Well, you can do that. It was you raised your hand first. So if you want to let him have that, then you can switch it. It's not up to me.
Okay. Paul, I'll yield to you. I'll come back.
Okay, moderator, could you mute Paul Mukoro? Okay, he's on.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
On video, sorry. Would you like to come on video?
Can you see me?
Thank you so much. Yes, we can see.
Mr. Chair, I totally agree with your observation on the motion moved by Francis Fadoma. We don't have an ESCO, so we cannot be moving a motion to take them out of office. What we need to be addressing right now is the way forward. What do we do? Because what Alex and his group are doing, they have access to the pulse. And that is why they are flexible muscles. I think at this point, we need to look at some legal grounds. How we can file a motion that will stop them from accessing our account in any form or shape. That will bring them to the discussion board. All this muscle flexing because they have access to the account. If we have a motion in play in court, we may have to go to the court. That is one thing I never thought we would get to. But with the comments you guys are giving to us today and the report you're giving to us, it's obvious that we may have to be looking at that. That's the only way we can bring them to the drawing board to have a discussion. I yield.
Thank you so much. Mr. Chair, your response.
Oh, well, it's well noted. Let's hear people talk, and then at the same time, Francis will be rethinking his motion. There is Austin and then Ekunife.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. And thanks everybody again. I agree that we don't have sort of an existing executive in place right now. So Alex and his team are ex-executives, their tenure lapsed in Dallas. But the other thing I agree with is, as part of moving forward, that group and their actions need to be addressed. I don't know if it's a vote of no confidence or something else that might achieve that. But we need to address it as a group, and we have the benefit of the GA today. Hopefully we can take advantage of that and do that.
Sorry, but I thought that was done in the last GA. The GA in its resolution agreed to the fact that there is no leadership and set up a caretaker committee.
Mm-hmm.
So the GA has already taken care of that. They recognize that there is no leadership, and I don't know that there is any need to start voting and going to revisit a ragtag, to use a political word, set of issues. So I think that will be going back. It's something that we've taken care of in the last GA.
Yeah, I'm saying though, what I'm saying is that, yeah, I agree that there's no leadership in place, formal leadership like the Alex type leadership. What I'm saying is, as a group of UBAANA GA, we need to address what was done, and one way we could address that is a vote of no confidence on that past executive. That's what I was suggesting.
Well, that's open for reactions. We'll get to those. So, Ekwunife, you had your hand raised. And then after that, I see that there's a Tim Mosier.
Mr. Chair, after Ekwunife, I do have comments from Michael Egrebello, and I'd like to find out from him whether it suffices to read his comments or whether he would like to expand on them, clarify them. So there's Michael before Tim Mosier. Go ahead, Ekwunife.
You're muted. You need to unmute yourself.
You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Thanks, Mr. Chair, Mr. Paul, Mr. Austin, for your comments. My position is this. How do we move to dissolve an ESCO we do not believe was duly elected and thus illegitimate, either by motion or by a vote of no confidence? I simply believe that the better, more relevant approach is a motion, like somebody suggested, requesting a surrendering of assets and monies in their possession. While we commend the effort of our esteemed committee members, we knew going in that the reconciliation journey mandated by the last EGA was not going to be easy. We thank you for the work you've done. The journey of reconciliation was one we felt obligated to embark upon. That was why most of us in attendance at the last GA supported and voted for the committee. I believe we have now come to sort of a difficult crossroads in the affairs of UBAANA, and that the only salient question before us today is pretty straightforward. And I'm going to phrase it simply as, what do we do now? You know, we know from listening to members of our outreach committee that additional attempts at reconciliation will not yield compromises, and that the two options we are faced with now are pretty straightforward, pretty simple. One, for the purposes of unity and peace, just wait out the next 2 years to keep the association united, regardless of our convictions. Or two, take a position based on our convictions, a position for the rule of law and due process against abuse of power. While I differ on a way forward to the General Assembly, I believe we should take a position one way or the other today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very good contribution. Tim, you want to speak and then we'll begin to, oh, okay, no. I meant to understand that it should be Mike Egrebello.
Yes, and he has the microphone. Go ahead, Michael Egrebello, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, caretaker committee. Thank you, past presidents, for doing an excellent job. I don't think that sorry, somebody was talking.
I'm excited you're talking.
I don't
please
think
go ahead.
yeah, I don't think that the outcome of the engagements was unexpected, but like somebody else already said, it was necessary that we continue that engagement to be sure that we exhausted all means to reach a truce. I'm worried about one particular thing, that Alex and his group will make us lose the focus of why we have been gathering as a body, which is to support University of Benin. And that was why I put the comment in there that we should encourage each of the various chapters to continue to support University of Benin in any way they can. If anybody has ideas for collaboration between the chapters to do projects at the university, let us continue to do so. It's difficult for me to picture how we can work as a body that is bound by the Constitution at this point in time when we're having these difficulties. But there was one big point which Paul made, which was an aha for me, was, is there anything that this house can do to make sure that UBAANA funds are protected, you know, for as long as it takes for us to begin to re-oil the machinery and get back to working as a working unit. You know, those are just my comments. I don't know how we can do that. How do we stop this committee from dipping their hands into the funds? I was particularly worried that many of the projects or the projects which they embarked upon were not even approved by the GA. I've never seen where things are run like that, you know? And the fact that they've gone along this route makes me worry that perhaps they have their eyes on those funds that they can use to do whatever, you know? And somebody is going to tell the caretaker committee that they can use UBAANA funds to pursue whoever, you know? That is callous. Really, really callous. Those are just my comments. Thank you for giving me the floor and the mic.
Thank you. Mr.
All
Chairman.
right. I have in my, unless you have any other Tim Mosier and then
Anekwe
I see former Anekwe.
Well, thanks for giving me the time. I'm going to keep it very short and simple. I echo what Mike and Ife Ekwenefe, their positions. I think we need to take a stand. I think the choices are binary and they're quite simple. And we need to come out of these deliberations today with a decision. That's just my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Will Anekwe Ifeoma please put on your video?
I'm actually trying to put on my video, but it's not going through. I'd like to think that most people here know who I am. I've been a director of UBAANA. I've been a what you call SecGen, both national, and the local level New York, New Jersey chapter. So I would like to think people know who I am. I just had one brief, one brief question. Have we seen a line by line itemization of our financial spending the last 3 years? Because I think as members, this is something that we're entitled to. Not estimate, not an overview, a line by line itemization of the spending. What have we been spending the money on the last 3-4 years? That's really all I wanted to ask.
Thank you for your contribution.
I yield the floor.
Thank you. Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, you're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I thought I'm not.
I just
I
unmuted you. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so what two things that are on the at least one critical one is how to secure UBAANA funds that is under the control of Alex and his group. One. So we'll be looking to hear a way forward. And then there's the secondary issue of the leadership going forward. That was part of the mandate from the EGA and how to go about that. So we have an issue that is on the table. We will talk a little more about how and what are the steps to take to stop Alex and his team having access to, especially where they think that the most important thing they could use the money now is to fight anybody who is not aligned with them, right? So that's their biggest project right now, is to use that money and fight. So that is the key thing. But who is speaking next? Is it William?
Yes.
Or, okay, William. And after you, Mamadou.
Yeah. Mamadou, could you come on video so I can add you to the queue? Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Williams.
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Perfect.
Very clearly.
Oh yeah, thank you so much, man. This committee has done a very great job of reaching out, and I really didn't expect too much from Alex, having spoken to him also in the past 3 months, where he just dilly-dallies. Every time he talks to you, he's coming up with different. He said he would do anything to reconcile. The last time I spoke to him, he will do anything to reconcile. He will even leave the position that he loves UBAANA that much. And that day I knew he was just trying to get his way going. At this point, we just need to figure out how to move forward. Number one, the legal aspect. I know that costs money. At some point, these lawyers will just start trying to make money left, right, center. We need to look for practical things we can do that make sense. If there's a way to narrowly say, yes, have an injunction to stop spending money, and it's just a narrow motion that we ask for, a one-time thing, maybe. I'm not a lawyer. The legal minds can look at that. What Austin said also, I'd like to second that. We need to put something down on paper just to show that we made attempts to reach these people and to make peace. So if it is to raise that motion of no confidence as to the outcome of what you guys gallantly did, we need to get that going today. Number two, I think we should actually position ourselves as the General Assembly. I think that's what leads credence more to what we're doing. I know we said something about caretaker, but we are really actually the General Assembly. And that's already a vehicle in the Constitution that we can piggyback on. We represent the General Assembly, and this is what we want to do. There's so many things that we cannot do based on just asking. Like what my sister Efoma said, asking for the accounting, I believe that would be super. But we probably will not be able to do that without some kind of injunction. If we label ourselves as the General Assembly going forward, we probably can start trying to do things legally. And right now, I think we should just focus on looking for a legal binding way forward. And like I said, I really, really, really admire what you guys have done, and it's fantastic. I yield.
Chair. Mr. Chair. Sorry, It seems like your device mutes you. Yeah, go ahead and speak, please, Mr. Chair.
No, I was just inviting Osei Mamodu to make his contributions, and then we will look at. So Williams raised a very important point that as General Assembly, we need to put a motion either to endorse the work done somewhere or the other. Maybe we can reframe it to merge what he's saying with what Austin had said, that after listening to the report, the General Assembly just find out that there is nothing more to do with that set of people, and then there's no vote of confidence that working with them will lead to anything. I still think that we should not be voting on another ESCO, but I think that we can merge, or we can find a middle ground between those two to recognize, and as a group of people that we have no confidence that working with them will lead to the betterment of UBAANA, either uniting it or otherwise, or bringing them under the fold. And yeah. So we keep to think about it, and we reflect. I hope that this will be the last issue, so that we can begin to narrow down those two things. Yeah. So Mamodu, over to you.
Yeah. At this time, it's just a mess. I never thought that we'll be in this situation, but we have been involved, and I've heard everything. I like to be practical. I like to so anyway, what I want to say is I understand the nuances, I understand the challenges, and I understand everything. So this looks like there's no way we can avoid legal fees and all of that. Nobody has deep pockets. So in the long run, I will commit $5,000 to this struggle, and I will commit $2,000 of that $5,000 like today. Then over time, depending on how it goes, $5,000. But today, depending on, I don't know where I should pay the money to, whatever. That's my contribution to everything. Yeah, people have talked and everything. I don't have money, but I am enthused by justice, by fair play. And I will sacrifice my last drop of blood to what I believe is fair and just. So if we have to get legal representation or whatever it is, I will contribute $2,000 today. Tomorrow, whenever I'm asked to, wherever the money should go, I will do that. But in the long run, I'm making a pledge for $5,000. I know we are starting from rubbish, from nothing. We have nothing right now. The people who are in charge of our finances have everything, and they take comfort in the fact that they have all the money. But I tell you guys, right? If people are enthused, we will raise $1 million in 2 months. So let's not be carried away by whatever money is in any account or whatever. On a personal level, I'm just saying I will do $2,000 right now. But I'm making a commitment to $5,000, which I will stretch out based on how it goes. But today, $2,000, and that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, your response.
Yeah, okay. I was clapping. Thank you very much for that injection. So the very first thing I would like to find out, are there, and I'm not asking for commitment after today, but just, are there lawyers in the house that could tell us how? I know that in Nigeria, you can go and seek an injunction, get an injunction and slap it on the other party. and then freeze him. But are there anyone who can let us know or who has idea of the US legal system on how to constitute councils? And since this is a Maryland registered corporation, where do we start and how to go about this? But before then, so what are the House resolution? Is anybody moving a resolution regarding? Okay, I see another hand coming up. Mike Bello, I want to know whether you have anything you want to say.
This is Bello, you have the microphone.
Okay, no, I just wanted to pass a comment here, and I want to thank you, President Momodu, for that kind gesture. But at the same time, I want to also call a caution here. I don't know if there's a simpler solution to freeze that account. I think that's what we should pursue first. Two things have been mentioned here. One is the power of the GA. The reason why UBAANA exists is actually to execute the wishes of the GA as it pertains to supporting University of Benin. Can the GA, or does the GA not have a means to freeze that account because it is on our behalf that money is supposed to be spent on any project that comes forward? If there is, I think that's where we should be concentrating on at this time. I'll be worried to go down the route of, because we've seen a lot of legal battles. I've been in associations, other associations, where things like this have happened. You go to court, and before you know it, money that we did not raise at the convention, we'll be spending it on legal fees. It doesn't make sense to me. At the end of the day, my primary reason for being in this association is to support University of Benin. I wouldn't want to go down the route of getting people to contribute money only just to go and pay one lawyer when we have been executing bus stop projects and we have not raised money to support our alma mater. So I just wanted to throw that caution in, please.
Okay, I mean, I see your point, and it's well appreciated, which is that, if you're raising 20,000, you want to spend 20,000 paying a lawyer, fighting something. Like Kimo said, some things are born out of principle. But here is the basic fact to provide is that when we had that meeting, I remember that when Alex continued to say that he's engaged a lawyer who's advised him, so they already have a lawyer who had advised them that they are in the right. So that lawyer would tell him you can spend. He's gotten legal advice, and they've looked through the UBAANA bylaws and advised him that he's on the right path, right? So even if as a GA you write today, he will tell you that we're a bunch of, that his own GA has, he's been sworn in, he's there, and therefore you cannot. So this GA cannot do anything by writing or anything without a legal route to it. And this is why, because I told him, I said, listen, the fact that you have a lawyer advising you does not mean that you're right, because that's how people end in court, because everybody gets a lawyer who tells them they're in the right, and then lawyers make money out of it. So your point is right. So, which is why I called for lawyers in the House who might understand the legal system to give us an idea of the quickest and cheapest way to resolve or to get to this point. Because the truth of the matter is that they already have the lawyers and they're going to spend our money, right? Even if we continue today without doing anything, they will spend the money trying to stop this going. The lawyers wrote us letters, and they will continue to write, and they continue to charge the association. We need to find a way to stop that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Tim Mosey, before you speak, I would like to remind us that if you're in this meeting, if you're taking the time, the trouble to be, present, that it's important that you register your presence. It's important that you sign in. We still have only 29 persons that have signed in. Whatever we decide, the representation and how representative our decisions are will be reflected by, you know, your confirming that you were here. I have 28 signings, so I want to appeal to us. So please go ahead and sign in. Dr. Timothy, go ahead, please.
Well, thank you so much. I'm extremely reluctant to spend money paying attorneys. President Mamadou, thank you so very much for your offer. It's very generous and gracious. University of Benin needs us. Money spent on attorneys could be better utilized in developing projects at their alma mater. I'm also wondering how many chairs of LOC chairs are present in this GA today. I know that Southern California and Midwest chapters have pulled out. I do not know what this inclination is of the other chapters. Like I told President Alex, it's one thing to want to lead, but it must be accepted by those you're trying to lead. So I don't know if there are other LOCs chairs who are present here today and what their inclinations are going forward. It might be a symbolic gesture, but it points out to Alex and its other supporters that they don't have an unbridled hold on power. So bottom line is, I feel very reticent to spend money paying attorneys when this could be spent developing our university. That's it.
Okay, very well. Thank you very much. Who has an idea of how we can then how do we cause or stop Alex and team from using UBAANA money that is warehoused and is under their control now? How do we do that?
I'd like to read a comment. I see some hands up. Can I quickly read a comment from Obina Okeke? It's possible that the person is at work. Obina Okeke states, this is how UBAA started, and today it is no longer in existence. Being in court for years, it says, whose name is on the documents, yes, whose name is on the documents that will be accepted by the courts. Who will the court recognize today as legal representations of UBAANA? You guys need to exercise caution and think well. If you have your hands up, could you please put on your video so that I could bring you into focus? Thank you. Mr. Chair, go ahead.
Yes, I think that you have Edere, and
Yes.
And if she, after her, then President Edith. You're muted.
You have the microphone now. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right. You can hear me. Am I still on? Okay.
So,
first of all, I want to thank the caretaker committee for the awesome job they have done and all the reports and comments from members here. I had posted a question on the chat, which is, what does our constitution say about our financial expenditure? How do we have any guidelines on what our expenditure is supposed to be, or our financial expenses are supposed to be on? What guides that? Just to answer the question of if Alex can continue to use our funds for legal issues only. Another thing is that when we talk about the GA, right now we have 2 GAs going on. So which is which? This is ours. Alex has his own. So which one would be the recognized GA? So that's another question I'm trying to pose here. Another thing that I want to suggest or move for is for our caretaker committee's assignment to be expanded to include just continuing to take care of this body as we move forward and mind our businesses and all till next election time comes around. I really don't agree with spending our money legally, because that's just not helping our alma mater. So I support speakers who have raised caution about that. Thank you.
Mr. Chair. Dr. Edith, go ahead and make your contribution. Thank you, Dr. Edhere. Thank you so much.
Okay. Hi. What I wanted to say is, before I say what I wanted to say, but I will just very quickly address an issue raised by Dr. Edhere, that do we have a guideline on how to spend money? The point is, the people who are currently presenting themselves as the ESCO, although they are not the ESCO, have not followed any guidelines, and there is no way to stop them other than going to a lawyer. So what I really want to say is, yes, we don't want to waste our money, we don't want to spend it, but under the circumstances, how do we spend money on the school? You can't just be spending money on the school when we don't have an organization. So I think that ultimately we still have to spend money on lawyers, because it's only a lawyer who can put an injunction. It's only the courts who can put an injunction. So without the courts, we have no legal say. The legal say has to come from legal representation. So we still have to spend money on that to stop them from spending more money. Because if we do nothing, they will continue to spend the money, and we are saying, oh, we shouldn't spend money on this. We want to spend money on the school. How do you spend money on the school while they are spending money on whatever they're doing? That's my question.
Okay. Nnamdi, you want to speak? Nnamdi Madekwe wants to make a contribution, and then we want to start going back to how we will wrap this up. There is still the issue of the secondary mandate about guiding this to the next election, and what folks think about that. That has not been addressed. We're dealing with an issue that just came up from the last engagement, and the issue of money. I think it's very clear that peace is not going to be achievable with these folks. And then maybe there is a motion to capture what has happened, a blend of what Ifedera had said, and then a suggestion by who made the additional suggestion. Yeah. Okay. So Nnamdi, please go ahead.
Okay. Please permit me again. I mean, yeah, please, I'm not in a good position to really share. So please, I want us to be very cautious. Our folks on the other side, they claim the GA gave them the power to spend their money on legal fees. But I want us to toe the line of the argument that we should exercise utmost caution in towing the legal line. I have seen a lot of associations toe this line. They are in court for several years, and at the end of the day, nothing is resolved. if we have to be the bigger people, the bigger person, to patiently wait out, I know, I mean, it sounds a little difficult, it sounds harsh that, in the face of injustice, and these guys have authority over our finances, that we're going to say, oh, let's wait it out. It sounds difficult, but it might be for the sake of UBAANA, reuniting UBAANA at some point, it might be the difficult choice to make. Yes, it might take another 2 years to finally get Alex and his group out of the position they are. But even when they are out of the position that they are, they can still be held accountable. Folks have mentioned that we don't have any financial reports for the last several years. There are ways to hold them accountable, to account for the money when there's a change of governance. Please, we don't want to spend our money on lawyers. Our goal really is to help UBAANA. To help our alma mater. We cannot help our alma mater fundraising just for legal fees. It's never gone well. It's not going to go well. Our umbrella association, UBAA, how many years now they have been in court? It's not yet resolved. We are really unhappy at what is going on. We are very unhappy. I am in all this because of the unjust act that was carried on, but let's find other ways. If the other means to stop them from spending our money, and let the court option be the last option. If we can avoid it, please let's avoid it. But if we can't, and the majority think that's the way to go, I'm just one single voice, but I want us to be very cautious. Thank you.
Okay, very good. So here we are. Let's do a check. There is one or two. Do we do a legal option or not? And then, legal option stands on its own, but I want to know what people are saying about no legal option. If you want to say something before okay, go ahead, because I want to.
Just a quick comment. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I think asking us to fold, so to speak, and accept what some of us consider the illegitimate usurpers of power and unelected ESCO. In the end, it's not going to sit well with some of us. We can't do that just in the name of peace. Some of us have convictions, and we believe in fighting for right versus wrong. When it comes to the legal filing, we should be aware that any such filings would ultimately include issues of local standing or the right and the mandate to sue, and then the issue of jurisdiction. Additionally, positions and competence will be called into question. That in itself would extend into whether or not this GA is legitimate and whether or not Alex and his ESCO were duly elected. So we have to be ready for a wider range of questions that we'll have to answer in court. Personally, I don't think we should stand down on account of legal costs or how long the suit may take. I think that if it is what we believe in, then it is a path that we must feel inclined to take. We cannot just simply fold and go home. When it comes to lawsuits, I believe the starting point will be to consult with a lawyer with competent jurisdiction, that is to say in Maryland. I also believe that an injunction would be granted quickly based on a couple of positions. One being that we have not received any financials or line summaries in years. It will be granted quickly pending the final disposition of the case. I think if we believe that that is the way to go, then we should consult with a lawyer in Maryland, assuming that is where we decide to file the suit. But we should also be aware that it is a suit that can be filed in spite of the registration being in Maryland, in any other location where there is a registered affiliated chapter. Thank you. I yield.
Okay. Austin, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here. I just, first of all, I agree with Ife strongly. And I just got to that position today because prior to this, I was of the mindset that we should just form our own association and move on from the other group. But listening to you, I too have that conviction, and I've always had it. So maybe we figure out a way around that and a way to alleviate some of the costs. Because I do know we have UBAANA alums that are attorneys, right? As a matter of fact, one of them just called me a few minutes ago. We can start by doing an outreach for sort of volunteer legal service and see what we get. That's my contribution on that side till now. And then the second thing I want to say is by your mandate as a GA, our term as a caretaker committee ends today. So as part of this conversation, we need to figure out a way where we solve for the leadership equation. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Real quick, we do have some comments in the chat area. I'd like to read them. Mr. Ife Ekunife, is your hand up for a return, or was that, from previously? We have Dr. Nnamdi in wait, but Stella Nkoli Uweche says, I say we ignore them, cut our loss, then set up another association that will do better. The money in the current purse should be considered lost. Our power will lie in withdrawing our support. William Abomielen weighs in, and states local standing is drawing our attention to the question of local standing. And he says, just a thought, all accounts are open based on the articles of association, articles of incorporation. The signatories are on the scroll. Can they, on a personal basis, ask for an injunction? Thank you. And I'd like to bring Dr. Nnamdi to the microphone at this time.
Sorry, I spoke already.
Oh, your hands were still up. Okay, I apologize. So that's from the previous time. Okay. Mr. Chair.
Okay. For I've heard Ife and Austin the different views, and I'll put it so people can decide what they want to do. So, you can ask yourself that we can wait them out for 2 years. Chapters, we can actually let chapters do what they want to do, put their money, they can support UBAANA directly. 501c or not, they can find a way around it. But UBAANA itself, after 2 years from now, you can be very sure that as far as the instrument of office, you said that is with Alex, they will never transfer it to anybody from here. They will now begin to form a class of their own and begin to institute rubbish. That's how it goes on and on and on, right? So peace is never stable on injustice. That's my personal understanding, right? It's never stable on an injustice. So if you don't want to fight today, tomorrow you want to fight again, and then you will probably have a bigger fight and you'll be less strong to fight the fight. So while we're doing both of those things, I think that Austin's point makes sense to a large extent, which is to find volunteers and people and then begin to first start the issue of writing a simple letter and finding out why they should continue to spend this money. And again, the body of this EGA, whether they have another one or not, they want to put, I think it's Obina that raised that, an EGA of this number of UBAANA members saying that please do not spend our money without having provided any account while you were president, while you were leading the association, not as current president, but while you were, and you still have the instrument, please do not, is another. But the only thing is that it seems like we will need a lawyer to craft that and give it a legal backing. That is important. Why we want to do that, we need we have a resolution here, we'll give it to a lawyer, and a lawyer based on that begins to engage them. I see the point for peace, but my experience just says that peace on injustice never stays very well. And if members of caretaker committee can remember that while we all pretended to be reconciliatory in that meeting on the 2nd, what we got was a total people who despised humility or anything, right? So it is important that if we're really convinced about this, that something strong be done about it. I think that just letting it slide in the name of peace is not the right way, but how to engage that going forward, it's what the House is talking about. It will need legal representation, definitely. Because they already have lawyers. So it's like going into a fight with our hands tied behind our back, and then you're asked to be on one foot, and the guy is standing, with our money and with a lawyer by his side. It is difficult.
Mr. Chair, I want to clarify, does Dr. Nnamdi want to make a contribution? Because I see your hands.
You can drop his hand. He has said that he has spoken.
I dropped it, but his hands are back up. I just want to be sure because I know he's not able to talk. Mr. Dr. Nnamdi, I'm bringing your hands down again. I just want to. Okay, thank you.
Please do.
I just did. Okay. Mr. Chair, go ahead.
Okay, so what is the motion? The motion is that we should find, or is it what, for and against getting support of an attorney, first starting from seeing whether we can get volunteers, at least for the first letter of word of caution, and then how we go forward on this, or don't engage a lawyer, and then what is the other way? Just sit it out, form our own, form the executive and move on. What would that be? What are the motions? Is there any clarity, or are there still people who feel that we should stay with peace, and then some people say we should not? We should get a lawyer and then get it for free, or try to get it as cheaply as we can, but definitely get a lawyer. And if it means committing some resources to it, we can raise the resources, whatever it is.
I think I was looking at the chart as we were going on, but it's gone away. But I think the guy that, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, is it Francis? Had
Yeah, it was
amended.
Francis.
Yes, he
Okay.
amended his
You
position.
amended your initial thing, but I didn't read the whole thing.
So what is the amendment?
Yeah, I can't see it in the chat.
So the way that he expressed it, it might still need some clarification. He stated, just a minute, he stated, extend the prior executives and dissolve the executives immediately. It's not very clear. So we might need to, help him with refining it so that it reads right. And that was Fabo Humde.
If I understand, he's saying that we should assume that that executive committee did not expire in July.
No,
in Dallas.
He was responding to your counsel for him to, amend his motion and not give legitimacy to them by stating that they are, the executive, but he didn't quite hit the mark. So we might need some help with clarifying that motion. Mr. Francis, can you please speak for yourself? You are able to speak. You have the microphone. Mr. Francis Fabo Hunda, we're talking about your amended motion. Can you please speak to it? You have the microphone. While we wait for him, Mr. Chair, did you want for me to put something together by way of a vote on whether we want to seek legal? I have.
Yeah. Okay.
I think two people have their hands up.
Mr. Ife, and I also have
Chukwuemeka.
Yes, so you're able to unmute and you're able to speak. You do have you have the microphone. Let's hear from Onwobe first, please. Onwobe first.
Okay, am I on?
Yes, you are on.
Yes, you're on.
Okay, I want to start by first appreciating the caretaker for doing a wonderful job. And from your reportage, everything is very clear. And the fact that Alex and group are not ready for peace. We were thinking from our last GA that it was possible to achieve peace, and hence we injected some members who appear neutral to the Committee of Past President and Trustee. So it is obvious that we have to change tactics. And that is why I agree with all the past speakers. Since the idea of a caretaker committee is alien to UBAANA Constitution, I will suggest that let the Committee of Past President and the trustee still stands. And then let's look at the possibility of wooing or getting together chapters that, especially those that have already pulled out of the original UBAANA and those that are willing, so that we can congregate them, especially their ESCO, coordinated by this Committee of Past President and Trustee. Then, because there is no way we cannot seek a legal option, it is a must. If we decide to form a splinter, that we will be defeating the issue. So, and because Alex and co does not have a monopoly of usurping the association, I think it is correct for us to tell them that the owners of this association are in our midst. So I support a legal action, and I support that we have to go through it through constitutional means. So if it is possible, we can modify the idea of caretaker, reflecting the committee of past presidents and trustees, then approaching local chapters so that we can seek a legal advice with a view to initiating a process of stopping further financial transaction. In fact, with a view to rendering that group, Alex-led group, a nullity so that we can chart the way forward. So if I'm requested to move a motion, I will do that in due course. But I want to say categorically that I support a legal option, either by legal advice first, and then if it involves going to court and getting an injunction, I so support. But we can do it with the support of some of our chapters. Please, let's think of that. I will rest my case for now. Thank you.
Okay, let me quickly respond to about the caretaker committee. I think that that's prerogative of the General Assembly. We put it together with past president. Not the past president and trustees. We just filled in a leadership gap to get an EGA and get members together. So that is considered. I think the caretaker committee is in good standing as it is now. The Constitution gives the General Assembly the most important thing, and there's a doctrine of necessity. If not, there will be no association. I think that that is well taken. So the other part is getting the chapters to work together and then legal action. So the most important thing is your support for a legal action. The chapters, I guess, their support, we've talked about that, how you will then get them to come together. But I think that the ones that are in UBAANA are with UBAANA as it is. So if your contribution that we can go back to this split about if there are still people who are very strongly opposed to, because more people are now saying they support this intervention and seeking a legal thing. If there are people who are still strongly feel that we should not, then they can speak up. But if let's hear what you have to say.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think we need to avoid a situation where we start going back and forth or running around in circles. I think the time to take a position has come. We've been sitting here now for going on 3 hours, and I just believe that for the purposes of expediency, we need to look at the motion on the table. I believe the two positions are clear. One, that Alex and his officers should be allowed to run out the next 2 years as the ESCO, whether or not we believe they were duly elected. Or two, that an attorney be consulted on legal matters that needs to be litigated, whether or not legal fees will be incurred. We need to look at that motion and vote one way or the other and move on to other issues. I yield.
Does that represent, anybody has a doubt that that's not what the motion is? We need a legal representation for, okay, Mike Bello, are you seconding a motion or are you trying to alter a motion? Let's hear that and then we can do a vote.
No, I just wanted to make a statement that the key one for me is the finances, right? And I want to ask the question again. Is there a simple solution to stop further access to UBAANA finances?
No.
We don't see one, because
we don't
Alex
see
has
one.
told us that he's been enabled, and his lawyer tells him that he's the right man to be there, and he believes that the GA, you see, they've written the report. They've written the report of the last GA. They said that the motion was moved, that it was moved, and for an adjournment was moved, seconded by Uyi, and then that the GA gave them rights to spend money on any, not that particular issue now. They opened the purse for them to spend on legal action as is necessary to keep UBAANA or to do whatever to run UBAANA. So there, I don't think, in all honesty, is either you say, we forget it, let them go, or you get someone who advises us on the way and legal way forward to make sure that injustice is not left running.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, so that's yeah. Namdi-san
Please,
is up again. Is it by mistake? So
let's no. Please, can I just add a comment, quick comment? You know, I just want us to, yes, I mean, I'm seeing sense in some kind of legal commitment, but I just want us to take one step at a time. I'm suggesting that if we can amend that motion, you know, to, like somebody mentioned, let's explore within, seek advice from our colleagues, UBAANites who are lawyers. The second thing is, based on whatever we get, we want an attorney who can engage an attorney to draft a letter based on the resolution of this GA to stop Alex and the team from continuing to spend any money in UBAANA accounts. And the third option somebody already mentioned as well is to see whether the trustees can approach the banks to explore capacity to freeze our accounts, even without the legal action. But again, this can be three things that we're doing simultaneously: get a lawyer to draft this letter, because the main thing is really to paralyze continued use of our money. These guys are boasting that the GA gave them authority to use the money for legal fees, which is wrong.
But that's the same GA that they don't respect.
Well, no, but again, that's what I'm supporting. Now, let's write a letter. It makes sense to at least initiate some kind of legal commitment, alerting them that they should no longer continue to use any money in their accounts pending resolution of this conflict. Because really, at this point, it's an illegitimate authority. They don't have the authority to use UBAANA money. UBAANA is split almost 50-50, you know, and they don't have the authority to continue to use UBAANA money. So the most important thing we should be looking at now is a way to stop this group from continuing to use UBAANA money. Okay. I rest again. Okay, thank you very much. I think that so here the motion is the House moving that who could I ask to move the motion again? And it says that the motion should be amended to say that we engage lawyers, but the first is to do it. I think it's just to engage.
We need a court injunction, and we need a lawyer.
No,
everything else we can be doing at the same
advice
time.
and legal support to stopping Alex and the past executives from continuing controlling and using the funds in the account.
Mr. Chair, may I?
Yes, please.
Okay, so at this time, I am going to share my desktop, and that is to enable everyone see the draft that I have prepared. And if it makes sense, then we can have someone some persons, move the motions and subject to adjusting. This is what I have deciphered from your conversation. There's talk about a motion to allow Alex and his group to continue till 2025. There's conversation about a motion to begin consultation. That will mean within, affordable, begin consultation, ask questions and all that, and, begin the processes to follow legal process. We can amend that, adjust that however we want. The third one is to extend the mandate of this caretaker committee, which Austin brought to our attention, extend their mandate to lead the way forward so that there's legitimacy to what you do going forward. The fourth conversation I heard in the room says that, we want a motion to get legal representation to issue a cease and desist. I will adjust those accordingly. To issue a cease and desist for their continued use of associations funds. The last conversation I heard is, beginning a process of having their accounts frozen. So, Mr. Chair, let me have your reactions to what needs to be done so that persons could move this after it's being adjusted.
Well, I think that 4 and 5 are
4 and 5 may be combined. It's the same thing. Because if they can't touch it,
that's
then
really
it's
what is
frozen.
on the table right now.
Okay.
That, to get legal, not begin the process of, is to get the legal representation to support the move to.
Is this 4?
Yeah, okay.
Are you addressing 4 or 5?
4 and 5 combined, and then somebody can move for it. But I think that before this, I want to revisit, and I said this, I would like us to revisit the statement, a combination of what I believe Francis, Austin, and William had said in going forward, that after the presentation of the report, the House is moving that, first and foremost, that there's no confidence on the past executive and their supporters to come back to this table, and therefore they are not a set of people that we wish to, consider as existing within UBAANA framework. I think that is important. So based on that, you start moving these motions to retrieve all the controls that they have, starting with stopping them from this. So I think that it's a sequencing of the motions, that post the report, because that's the first reaction, is that, look, these folks are not of the lack sincerity. I don't even want to talk about the amount of lies that they spewed at that meeting, from point of saying that there was no motion, that Larry, I asked Alex repeatedly in front of me. He went around and said there was so much noise, people were jumping up and down the place, that he didn't hear anything.
Completely fabricated.
Okay, so I think that, so if we could start with that motion, if somebody moves the motion, maybe William or Austin or Francis can restate that motion, and then we can then go ahead. That will be the first. Then we go ahead and discuss about these legal issues, and then we talk about the leadership. I think someone said expanded role, and then extended role in that. Reaction to the things that are presented here.
Just a minute. We do have Nnamdi and Dr. Edeheri. They have their hands up.
Yeah. Okay. So after this, any other contribution has to be motions and resolutions. We have them where we need to move them and conclude this. We promised ourselves that we won't be more than 2 hours. We started about 25 minutes late, but now 30 minutes extra is not bad, but let's not push it too much.
Can we hear from Dr. Edeheri?
Yes, I just want, oh, let me see, am I muted?
You're
Yeah, I
good.
just
We can hear you. We can hear you.
If the first motion about allowing Alex to finish the year, can that be amended to include having a caretaker committee still take care of this, the GA? So when we say allow them to finish, doesn't mean I'm supporting what they are doing. So can that be amended, the first one? Because that's not what I'm thinking of doing. It's not. I want them to run out because it has like 6 months or 7 months and 1 year is over. Oh,
no, actually, it doesn't have 6 months. It's
you know
up
what
to
I'm saying?
2025.
So the next reunion that we should have is about 6 months. So yeah, so when I spoke earlier, I said for to extend the duties of the current caretaker committee that we formed at the last meeting, and then allow this year to run out with Alex and continue from there. So can it be amended, the first motion? Because then it's almost leaving no options for some of us, at least speaking for myself.
I'm just wondering, I have a question. I'm just wondering if we are saying to allow them to continue to run out. So what role will the caretaker committee come then? Because if they are there, then they don't really need us. Because you can't have two bodies running UBAANA. Or can we?
I think that just to provide you a feedback, it is unlikely going to work because Alex and team believe that they are there till 2025. So, and we're not sure how the next reunion is going to work. I think that what would have actually made sense is to consider how I believe that this caretaker committee was put in place and set to manage it until there is an election, right? So I think that what other part to that will be that election to put this UBAANA, and if we've come to the point that there's no peace, then I believe that the next thing is to have UBAANA have its executives, right? That is what we should be looking at. I didn't want to, I just wanted to be sure that we know where we're going. But I think that there are two things. We have that motion that said, well, this has been exhausted. The caretaker committee has done what it needs to do to find peace, is not there, right? So this motion says we have no more regards for those folks and what they have. We have no confidence in trying to engage them any further for a peaceful resolution, and therefore that is closed out. The association has to then move forward with what it needs to do. First, it has to set a timetable and way to transition to a set of executives. Secondly, and most importantly, before they do that, stop the people who have our funds from parading and using that funds to cause additional destruction to the organization. I believe that those are the things that are actually on the table. So we start with the very first one, the motion that was suggested by Francis, Austin, and William in amend that. And then the next is whether we're going to use seek legal advice or not, which seems that everybody's gravitating towards that. And then the next will be the issue of that new set of executives, now that we have come to the point that there is nothing to be salvaged from that last one.
Can we read the comments in the chat box?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to go ahead and read the updated chats that we have. And so, Joy Ebohirlem states, regarding following the legal path, set up a team of our internal UBAANA lawyers to review what is needed and the costs. Then we can determine the way forward as far as that is concerned. And then Edward Fubara says, don't we need to deal with the motion that is on the floor before we propose a new one? Ifi OG states the first motion should not be changed. Allow us to vote as it is. I believe those are the comments so far. Just one oversight. I'm sorry, there's a few more. Francis Fabohunda says, I can't talk right now. The chair is right. My amendment is to extend the prior executive board and dissolve them immediately. Nnamdi, who has his hand up, before he speaks, let me read what he wrote at 4:45. It says, it is okay to begin exploration with Dean by seeking out the views of our lawyers pro bono. It is okay to have an attorney draft a letter based on resolution of this General Assembly to stop Alex and team from spending money in UBAANA account. We should explore if the trustees can approach our bankers to freeze our accounts. And I believe that captures the sentiments of those who sent in chats. And so, Nnamdi, if you want to add something to that, can you go ahead and speak?
Okay, sorry, please bring us back again. I just want to remind us that during the reconciliatory meeting last Saturday, there was an olive branch for us to allow Alex and his team continue up to the next General Assembly. And at that point, we can now have a constituted GA that is inclusive and then decide on the issues that tore UBAANA apart. They refused to accept that olive branch. So I'm just putting it out there so that folks are aware that, something of that nature has been offered. And
they don't want to talk. They are not interested.
Yeah, so we have gone beyond that. So I agree with the sequence of the motions. I think the first motion really would be that the caretaker committee already submitted its report, and the House has had the report. The House can now agree and make a resolution that, based on what has transpired, that it's obvious that all efforts were made to reunite UBAANA, but the hardliners on the other side are unwilling to consider anything, and therefore the House is empowering this either to continue the caretaker committee or committee of presidents to continue to run the association with the various chapters that are willing, or the various chapters who are not happy with the situation of we found ourselves in UBAANA. I think that should be a way forward. And then I completely see the reason why we must stop these guys from continuing to use the money that we've all donated, because really, I've not done any census, but I guess that UBAANA is almost split 50-50, and we all contributed to the money that he wants to use to hire a lawyer to challenge those who are oppose the injustice that has been done in UBAANA. I rest again, please.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Chair, before your response, I'd like to thank Samsung SM. If this is you, Samsung, can you please identify yourself? In front of your label, I have said name, please. We're waiting on you to conform with our housekeeping rules. I also want to draw attention to the person who it states full name, please. We have given you an opportunity to put your full name. So if your thing says full name, please, we're waiting on you so we know who and who is in the room. If you still have not signed in, kindly do so, because we still don't have everyone on the register. Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Excuse me. Thank you very much. So, like I said, we need motions and what are the motions we have and who are moving the motions. I don't, anybody who wants to move a motion now, let's hear it and then we can, we now know that we have motions. We're not editing it again. Except the person who plans to second it can say with amendment, and if the proposer agrees to it, then we move with that.
Mr. Chair, I heard you, we heard you. If you will permit, I still have a few comments just before we go on. I have about 3 comments, and these are the last set of comments that we will take. I see some persons asking how to sign in. I am going to post that again in the general chat area, if I may. And just so you know, you also can, it's visible on the backgrounds of the speakers, the QR code and the link, but I have posted it in the chat area if everyone can see it. So I do have a comment from Ife. Okay, so I have a comment from Stella Aduba, states, Board of Trustees should approach the bank to freeze the account. Also, the California and Midwest chapter can ask for their share of UBAANA's money, seeing as they contributed most of it. William Ebomirlen, I apologize if I say your name wrong, states, please remove them after 90 seconds. Okay. Greg and Naholo was asking, how do I sign in? I've provided that information. Ife is back with a comment stating, the reason we are here today is because we believe Alex and his officers were not duly elected. Asking this EGA to then grant them a legal mandate by extending their term till 2025 is not a feasible approach. Additionally, sending a letter to Alex will serve no purpose. It will simply be ignored. Legal representation with the mandate to file legal action is our only effective option. At this time, we're closing to general comments. The comments we want to see is a motion, support for the motion, raise your hands, verbally, propose a motion. If you're not able to talk, type it in the chat area. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, are there anybody who has, does anybody have a motion?
And I'm sharing my screen so that we're all able to collectively represent the motions. And that way we're not going back and forth. As I hear the motion, I'm going to type it in. And that's why I have my desktop. I'm sharing my desktop so that you all can see, so that we don't launch a poll and have to cancel and redo it. Thank you.
And where people find it difficult to articulate one, I might work with the moderator to present one and then let the House vote on it, if that is accepted.
So we're on motion 1. As it reads right now, extend the mandate of this caretaker committee to lead the way forward. Comments?
I'm not sure.
Until when?
Okay, I mean, we can, either you're saying to expand or need, because I thought that the committee is there until elections.
Well, Dr. Austin had raised a question of, this committee has delivered up to this point, that the House needed to, give them legitimacy to continue. I'm just drafting based on what I heard, so you all guide me.
Number 3. Expands it through to the elections. So it may be a misunderstanding on Austin's part. We can go back to resolution number 3.
Yeah, because he already expands it to till elections. We haven't done elections.
Okay, so do I expunge this? Do I delete this from our
I
list?
would think so.
Okay, gone. So the next one that I have drafted, William, are you making a motion? Are you supporting a motion? Okay, he put his hands down. Vote of no. William, unmute you. You're unmuted. Go ahead. Is this a motion?
Yeah, I was just going to move the motion. The initial one was just to say that we have made all attempts for reconciliation, and that, you know, something to just make that written down, and that did not work. Motion to just say we've done that, it did not work, and we'll move forward from that point. No other, we're not doing it again. We've done that. Yes or no?
Okay.
I don't know
Okay.
how to.
So the motion is, having heard the report of caretaker committee, the EGA, the motion is being moved that any further that there is no need for further engagement of the other parties, including the old ESCO and their supporters, and you know, the House is putting a no confidence vote on any process, you know, going forward, and therefore, it's saying that the EGA or the association should move ahead and do what needs to be done without them. You can now paraphrase it. William, does that represent what you're trying to say?
Yes, is you wrap it around with what I call English, but that's exactly that's exactly what I was trying to say.
You mean that Bini did pass through me, that I couldn't retain
Okay, you all help me because you know, I'm very verbose. Can somebody help me making this succinct? Very verbose.
You just, I think you typed it right, that we've, having heard the report of caretaker committee, the EGA has determined there is no further need for reconciliatory moves. Vote of no confidence in Alex and his group.
You can just say the former ESCO and their supporters. Yeah.
As far as reconciliation is concerned, I guess.
Yeah.
Irreconcilable differences.
Okay.
We're going to need attorneys at this point, just saying.
We don't talk and since. I don't know why we still argue this point.
Okay. All right. So that's it.
May I ask that we take all the motions and then I launch the poll at once and then we can respond so that we just make this productive. I'm going to go on to the second motion, and that way when we launch, and that way we capture everything in, you know,
just for the record, who moved this motion and who seconds it? It's important.
Who moved it? Who was?
I thought I had William moving the motion.
Okay, that
Stella, which is she in support of? I saw her hand going up.
Yes, so I can move the motion, but also I want to say that before we move any motion or start voting, that we should clean the house and make sure that everybody that is here is supposed to be here. If we have two phones that have refused to identify themselves, then we should have them taken out.
Thank you so much. That is in consonance with the housekeeping rules that we agreed to. I am going to make one more call. One more call. If you do not know how to rename yourself, right now,
just let us know and we'll do it.
Yes. So just hold on. This is what I am doing at this time. I have unmuted everybody's microphone. For the records, everyone is unmuted. And so if you are the one with iPhone, KOM, if you are the person that has Samsung, go ahead and tell us your name just in case you don't know how to rename yourself. There are two persons. After this call, I will remove you from the meeting, and there's no way for you to get back into the meeting. Samsung. This I'm clicking unmute. Your device will tell you you have been unmuted, Samsung. So what is your name? Speak now because you are unmuted. The person.
Yeah, okay. I am KOM. Sorry, I'm out of the house. On my cell phone now. I'm KOM.
So
this is Mamadou.
You are the culprits. Okay, so what about the second person? And thank you so much. What about the second person? So this is Mamadou. We have a second.
Yes, KOM, yeah.
We still cannot hear you. The person is trying to speak, but we cannot hear you. Samsung, you're the you're the only one unmuted now. What is your name? Can anyone hear her? Samsung F94. I'm about to remove you. Can you type in the chat area? We don't want to waste any more time. Can we type in the chat area? After this, I will lock the meeting so that all of us that have been a part of the conversation, take it to
vote.
Yes. Anybody, Samsung, you're not audible. We're not hearing you. With all due apologies, I'm about to remove the Samsung because the person is unidentified. Okay, hold on. Is that Alero? Alero, is that you? I believe that is Alero. I think that is Alero. Can you type something? Yeah, because she sent a text message saying she didn't know how to. Alero, can you confirm? Is that Alero Hands? Okay. Okay, so I'm renaming this to Alero Hands. Okay, are we good? At this time, I am going to lock the meeting. And that way, we don't have to go back to explaining what we have said, what we have done. I have locked the meeting effectively, and there's 38 of us, and we are going to move forward. Okay? So, Mr. Chair, you need to unmute yourself. Mr. Chair.
Me?
Yes, unmute yourself, and I yield the meeting to you. Go ahead and tell us what to do. So.
Right, so we have that. Where is the second one?
The second one as.
Okay. So I think we should dispose them one after the other.
Okay. You don't want for us to vote on each of the motions in one swoop?
No, we just dispose one and then we move to the next one.
Okay, so I'm going to copy this. Just before this,
we can do a show of hand. I think raising hand is faster, or is it better for us to log in on the other way? Or you want it for
this is good. This is good for documentation purposes. And really, we were at the point of asking who moved the motion. That was where we were, just now. We were asking who moved the motion.
Okay, we can do what you're trying to do. You want to get who moved the motion for record, and then you have the three of the motions, and then you go through all of them. Okay,
and for your reporting purposes, for your documentation purposes, we do all of the narrative and then we start voting. So who moved the first motion?
That's Mr. William Ebohomielen.
Can you please help me spell the last name?
EBHOMIELEN.
Okay, who is supporting that motion?
As the William.
Who?
William, not Williams, the first one.
Okay, thank you. So who is who?
Not N. Ebohomielen. That first N should be an M.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is this correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
That is correct.
Okay, apologies.
Okay.
So who's
No
supporting that motion?
I think that was Stella. Was it?
Stella. Is that correct, Miss Stella?
No, Stella is not a complete name. It's just
Stella Uwecha.
Spell.
Uwecha.
U-E-L-L-A.
E-W-E-C-H-I-A.
Okay. Is this correctly represented?
E.
Yeah.
Is which E? E is the last, not A.
No. It's A, please.
Oh, A. Okay, sorry, I was trying to spell it in
I
in
understand.
Nigerian.
I'm from Onitsha. Thank you.
Thank you. Chukwuemeka Onwuba, go ahead and speak. Are you seconding a motion? Are you raising?
Well, that's the first motion. So unless we are voting on it.
Second one. Let's take
wanted
all
to
and then
second
I will
the-
launch. You wanted to support?
I wanted to support the first motion if there is no seconder.
Okay, we have someone. Thank you. The second motion, allow Alex and his group to continue. You said to discard this, correct? This is not, for voting, correct?
Well, if somebody moves, it could be something.
Do we have someone?
It's a motion.
Do we have someone?
Is anybody supporting this? Did anybody propose this? If you have anybody who can propose
somebody-
that, they can vote.
Okay. Is someone proposing this motion? Someone had mentioned it earlier. Should we add this to the ballot?
I think Unamdi had originally said it, but I think he changed his mind.
No, he couldn't have. He was at the meeting the last time.
Okay, so
there's a motion for engaging a legal advice towards stopping the former executives from accessing and using the fund.
okay, so get legal representation to issue a cease and desist order for continued use of association funds. Has that been expressed correctly? And if so, who is moving?
Get legal advice, and representation.
Can I get the person who's moving this motion?
I think that if the House would allow me to suggest that the legal representation is to issue a cease and desist order from continued parading themselves as officers of UBAANA and also using the account. So it's both of them, right? They have to stop parading themselves as officers of UBAANA and at the same time continued use of the association's fund. Yes, William, you have your hands up. You can speak one.
Yeah, Romo. I don't think we should broaden it like that. I think just being specific about funds may be simpler. I think that's my opinion, because you going directly, when you said stop parading yourself, that's when it turns into one big legal imbroglio where they start going back and forth. I think just looking for an injunction for the funds is just going straight for the jugular, and it's just a simple thing, in my opinion.
I agree with William.
Okay, Mike Egrebello and then Paul Umokoro.
Go ahead.
Okay, I also wanted to say that we should. Okay, can I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to say that yes, I agree with the last speaker. We should be pointed on the issue of funds, and we should separate the issue of continuing with the funds. The funds one should be direct. I don't see why we cannot have the past presidents, maybe the former board of trustees. I don't know how that works. Those of us in this meeting, if it's possible for us to even sign a document which can be used as a basis for, I'm not a legal guy, I'm an engineer, so permit me if I'm saying stuff that does not make sense. But if we have a legal document which is backed by maybe those of us who are present here today, our signatures, such that that can be used to stop this group of people from accessing the account. If we can get that, that would be a very great result out of this meeting.
That's why we need a lawyer.
We agree with all that, but if you need a lawyer, if it's even one of our UBAANA members that gives us this thing, then we can circulate a petition which people can sign, especially people who have made petitions to say, I've donated, do not use my money, right? That's enough.
Correct. Yes.
Right. So, okay.
As
Well, it's not to issue a cease or desist, it's to advise the group, to advise UBAANA, to advise us, not because writing to issue a cease and desist order is very prescriptive, right? Is the lawyer
Isn't that what we want?
Huh?
We don't want them to use the money. Isn't that what we want?
Yes.
This has to be clear. It has to be clear and direct.
Well, you are saying that it's to issue a cease and desist. If there is any other thing they could do to fight to stop him, you know, it's a legal advice.
Like what?
Mr. Chair, listen. The only way you can get their attention is the money. Follow the money. If they can't get access to the money,
I agree with you.
They can present. He can present himself as president anywhere. He doesn't have any financial backing. It ends there. Trust me. That's why
Just
I said
tell them not to use the money, and then we can keep fighting. Don't use the money.
Yeah, don't use the money. It ends there.
And if we're looking for ways, non-financial ways to do this, it's just, I don't know. I think we're spending a lot of time. We need them to stop using the money. We need to decide the way forward. That's the way I see it.
All right.
So these are the two options, okay? This is one verbiage. And this is the other one on how to advise the EGA on how to stop.
No, to advise the EGA on stopping the people from using the. So it's to advise, right? It's a general term. The cease and desist is that you're asking them to help you write a letter of cease and desist. If there are other ways, the best way they can stop them, to immediately stop them from accessing the phone, then that's it. The point I'm trying to make is that when you say cease and desist, you've already made a legal determination of what to do, right? So why are you asking for an advice? You go to a lawyer, it's like going to a doctor to say, please, I came so that you can give me an injection to stop me from having cold, right?
Have legal representation.
How did you determine that, Rumundaka?
By what you're reading now, by saying
we just don't want them to use the money, right?
But that is what you're getting advice to stop them from using the money. But you're saying
no, it's not advice we're getting an injunction.
Hold on, Dr. Ojo and Mr. Rumundaka. Paul Umukoro, go ahead and let's hear from you, and then William
Ebomielen.
Paul?
So what I said is this. Our legal representation should just indicate that they should cease and desist using UBAANA funds since they are no longer in office.
Period.
That's your motion, right? Moved by Paul, right?
Yes.
Could stay with the microphone so that we can capture this. Gets legal representation to, can you state your motion to do what?
To stop the former executive from accessing UBAANA accounts for any purposes. Since they are no longer in office.
Paul,
Does this capture it?
Guys, sorry that I'm talking out of turn. Paul, I don't think using the word former executive makes sense. Just cease anyone from using the funds until we figure out what's going on.
Correct.
Okay, you can correct that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, let's make that correction. Remove the former executive.
Is that well captured?
Illegal for them to stop continued access to accessation funds.
Or anyone. You can do former executive because it's a targeted.
Or we can just say anybody. Because former executives or anyone is a longer sentence of any persons. Right? Which means either us or them, nobody should use the money until
Does
We
this
have
The
sorted all
former
these things.
executive or any person, because you're not going to put a public notice and say to who it may concern, please do not use UBAANA money. You're going to write people who currently have control of it as of last record, right? And so I think it's important to, there are people who have control of the assets now. So you can't make it anyone. You can say former Edison or any other person, but they are the ones who have control, and you cannot move a motion, putting it like it's general. You're not going to do a general public notice. You're going to write some people and address some people, call people's names. So
thank you, Mr. Chair. We have Michael has a comment. Michael Egrebello, go ahead.
Yes, I do support that. Maybe the word should be immediate past, because when you say past, that means every other person who has served the association.
Go ahead. Okay, so does everyone, who is moving this motion so that we can anchor on the person?
It's Paul Mokoro, his name is there.
Okay, by immediate past, so we're not using the word former, we're saying immediate past executives or any other persons. Who is seconding this motion? We need to move forward. I recognize Dr. Edere, but could you hold on? Are you seconding the motion? That's what we want to hear now.
Oh, no.
Okay, let's hear from somebody seconding the motion first, and then we'll hear from you. Who is seconding this motion? Michael, you are second.
John Kadiri. John Kadiri.
Oh, John. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you very much. And we can move the meeting forward. Kadiri. Okay. Get legal representation to stop continued access and use of association funds by immediate past executives or any other persons. That was the second motion. The third motion, let's hear from Dr. Edere before we go ahead with the third motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say that less words, the better. We just want to inactivate use of the account by anybody. So instead of saying past, because he sees himself as present, so he can argue that, oh, I'm not past, I'm present now. So maybe just saying inactivate use of the account until next election might be better.
Does everyone agree with that? That's legitimate. What chair? Mr. Rumundaka, did you hear her contribution?
I heard her contribution. Well, I believe that for the, you want to be sure that I don't think that the present executives are as far as this body is concerned. So this body is talking about a reference point that they are not executives, and we understand who this means. This cannot be taken outside the context of this particular meeting. However, I think that, or any other persons, until there is an election of this body, maybe we can either, but if the immediate past executives, they will still fall under any other persons.
You can say, or maybe we can say the 2021-2023 executive should desist from using the account until further election, until we have another election.
I really
2021.
Why can't we just say anybody? Anybody covers everybody.
The attorney we're taking will know how to do this. I think we're struggling because
exactly. I agree with you, Austin.
Just pay the money, get an attorney.
Very good point.
Okay, so what was
whichever way we look, we're gonna have to spend some money.
Well, the next, so that's motion 2. Is there any other motion?
Is there any other motion?
I have a motion.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I don't know how to put this, but I think that we need a motion to determine kind of what's the end date of the caretaker committee. when you look at it, we're ad hoc committee, and one of the resolutions we passed the last time was that this committee would work till there's an election. Someone corrected me, right? So when is the election? You know, my proposal is, you know, this committee works and wraps up its work in the next couple of months and hands over to an elected exco. And part of the reason why I'm saying that is what we're trying to cure for is a lack of legitimate elected officials. I worry that if we continue, then, you know, it's a slippery slope then. So I put it out there. That's my motion.
So really what you're asking is, when can we have an election? Anybody has a date? That's what Austin is asking.
I'm suggesting January.
Okay, he has added to it. He has suggested January. Let's discuss.
That's next month.
Let's discuss and move on to the next item.
Also, you know, January is not feasible. January is around the corner.
Okay, now we are discussing. But first, that is his motion. Do we
I'm
agree?
negotiation now.
Yeah, we get to vote. I think time is going. We just vote on that. That's all.
I put it on to fill it up, really?
Yeah.
They said to fill
Okay,
up.
so this is the reason why we mute persons. If you're in a place that okay, I'm going to bring out my whip. If you're in a noisy place, can you please mute yourself at this time? After which I will mute everyone. Please mute yourselves if you're in a noisy place.
I doubt if they're going to come back.
Okay, so we captured that. Is there any other motion that you want for us to include? Who is seconding the option, the motion by Dr. Austin? Who is seconding?
Well, so I believe that it is important to, I think we can have the election anytime tomorrow or otherwise. But, you know, Austin, I wish you could propose your motion that, I mean, we know that the EGA is going through extraordinary times. So there are parts of the constitution that the EGA has to adopt, that this election be fast-tracked outside of, so I think it has to be recognized, and then we move forward, right? But the election, yes, January or February, but I think it needs to be captured that it took cognizance of the provisions. However, more importantly is the need to close out the gap, and then we can put a time for it.
Okay, so there are prerequisites, essentially, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because just hold the election, you know, without contextualizing it, might just seem as if we never considered, you know, the provisions of the time of the Constitution or anything like that, right? Having gone through all this, having gone through trying to make peace and having seen the leadership gap and nothing going, then we're proposing a time. I think it's just for context. Instead of just hold the election in January and then that becomes a motion. It needs to be put in the context, and then you can put a time.
Okay, I'm thinking. Or maybe, yeah, you're typing. Thank you, Dr. P.
Can you all tell me what next?
And notwithstanding existing constitutional requirements, I guess.
Requirements or guidelines?
Yeah, either one works.
Mm-hmm. Can someone help me, please?
I don't know what else you have to do. I think this captures what I was thinking about.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
does this capture it?
Ask.
You're muted, Dr. Ojo.
We want to find out whether Austin wants to change that January.
Okay, what do you propose?
Not January.
How about March?
March?
End of
Okay, all right.
You're going to take if you're going to have an election, it's going to take a lot of rallying of people. Look at this meeting. Your other meeting was 100 plus people, and so you're going to have to do a lot of work with, getting people.
Today there are many parties, it's holiday time, so there are many people who are otherwise engaged.
Okay, so should I change the dates, Mr. Austin? What is your proposed dates? And I think he fell off the. I'm gonna have to open up the meeting because even he cannot get back in. So let me unlock the meeting. Okay. Does somebody want to help with this? So I changed the name of the person proposing. For some reason, his internet, his Zoom connection cut off. Mr. Chair, help us here.
Can I please say something?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
who's trying to say something?
Stella Uweche.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, I'm just trying to say that, of course, the whole process is appreciated, but it's an example of, I think, Austin or somebody dropping off. We spend too much time on the linguistics. It's not, if we can, the lawyers in the house or whoever it is we give it to, we can fine tune it. But the general idea, once we get that, we can move without having to wait for, all the languages to be. I mean, I could be wrong, but it's just taking too long. And please.
What if we say hold an election as soon as practical?
Yeah, or first quarter of 2024.
No, point of practical does not put a time limit to it. We try to do with the EGA. You can say, by so, and then it becomes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. My computer died.
Give it a time frame. Time frame. We're looking for time frame.
Hi, this is Joy. Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
No.
Okay, here's a thought. I mean, how long this is all going to take, but our UBAANA reunion is coming up again. So maybe we move that election to that time where that election will occur at that time. And we wrap it around a reunion type situation.
Guys, just remember that reunion is being handled by Alex and his group.
I'm not talking about his, no, I'm not talking about his reunion.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got you.
Well, I think that if, from my own experience, I think that one of the, apart from raising funds for the university, for people who are busy or trying to engage University of Benin, the next thing a leadership does is, organizing the reunion and moving. So it will actually be beneficial for the new executive to settle into really trying to get, with the support of the caretaker committee, putting a reunion together. I think that's even a better way to get them started. So I would think that having the election earlier would actually help and not wait till the reunion. The reunion would then solidify them. So February is good. If you say first quarter, that is fine too. Well, that would then give them 4 months working with any local chapter and the executive and chapter chairs to make that work in July, August for a reunion. I think actually that should be the way, instead of waiting till then.
Yeah, we could do an affirmation at the reunion. I tend to agree with that.
Date, time. Let's give it a name.
I thought we have first quarter of 2024 there. You want like specific dates?
No, he was suggesting either February or first quarter. I say anyone would work. So which one do you
No, first
choose?
quarter is fine. First quarter is fine.
Okay,
If that's
first
what you
quarter.
want to
So
do.
now we have date, first quarter. And this is seconded by who?
Austin.
No, it was first
Austin
said by
moved the motion.
It's
William.
only Austin. It's only Austin that is running the show for that one.
William, did William just unmute the microphone? Did you have something to say, William Abomialen?
Wow, you got the name right. No, I was just saying Austin is the one moving and seconding it.
Can we get someone to second this so we can move forward? My goal is for us to leave here.
Joy will second. Joy will second it. Joy.
All right. Joy Abomiele. Second in Joy Abomiele. Next.
Thank you, Joy.
Trying to find the spelling of her name. Did she already?
It's the same Abomiele.
It's the same as the other one, so you can copy and paste the other one.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Yep. Yep. That would work.
Okay, so the goal is for us to leave here in 10 minutes. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so let's.
Or less.
Is there any other motion?
I think we have plenty. Let's vote on this.
Okay,
and move
so
on.
I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll. Urbana motions, yes. And are we ready? Are we ready?
As ready as we can be.
Okay.
Yes.
So let me see all of your countenance, and 1, 2, and go. The poll is launched. So go ahead and respond.
Urbana have been heard in the report.
Wait a minute.
We can't, it's not working.
Yeah, we can select.
Well,
we can
we
select.
can select.
It's giving us the results.
Double click.
Double click. Okay.
Well, I just double clicked. It's okay. I don't know whether this is mine. It's not working.
If you're on a desktop, I have a concern. If you're on a desktop, you might have a challenge because of your Zoom client on the desktop. Okay, no, I know what it is. So those of you who are co-hosts, I will withdraw your co-host rights so that you can vote.
Okay.
Yes. And I apologize. I should have taken care of that. So I am going to withdraw all of you from being co-hosts. And
I'm not a co-host, and it didn't allow me. It was showing me the results. So
are you on
mine too is showing me the results.
No, William, you were a co-host at some point. I saw that.
At some point, yes, she did make you co-host.
Those of you who were speaking.
You see, when they've been promoting you now, you can't forget.
Can you imagine?
See?
Okay, so Francis
now where you the find us in trouble?
Okay, so I think we have cleaned it up. Can those of you, can you try again?
Okay, can you launch it again, please?
I only see the results.
For me.
Yeah, maybe if you stop
it's
sharing.
It's not working for me. Oh. Where are we going?
Are you on a desktop, Dr. Edith?
No, I'm on a laptop.
Okay, do you guys want me to relaunch the poll?
Yes, can you do that?
I'm on laptop and it's worked for me.
Can you relaunch, please?
It worked for me. I already submitted.
Relaunch,
me too.
Let's just relaunch so everybody can do
it. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. I want us to agree. We're going to relaunch the poll, and we're going to see everyone votes at the same time. And I am relaunching the poll at this time. Okay, thank you.
All right.
So
it okay. Now it works now. It works for me now.
Okay.
Still not working for me.
It might be the version of Edith, it's the version of Zoom you're using. Everybody else is voting. We had up to 18, 19 people.
Are you using WebEx?
It's actively populating, so we will go with those who were able to vote. These are the three.
Also,
yeah, it did work for me.
Yes,
I've seen the results, but I can't vote.
Yep. Me too. I
If you
see the
can see the
results, but I
result,
can't
it
vote.
means that you're a co-host then.
Well, my answer is yes. So maybe you can add the first one.
Okay, Edith, you are still a co-host.
Yeah, if you can
Yes,
see the result, you're a
Ngozi,
co-host.
yes. Ngozi, so both of you now try again.
Vote. Okay.
Yes.
Now I'm able to vote. Now we're talking.
I'm clapping for you. Let's
Hey, I can't vote. I'm on my phone. I left home already. How do I vote?
Wait,
you launch on your
You're a
phone.
co-host now.
You should launch on your phone.
Lionel, you're
I
a
see.
co-host. I saw you just now.
Yeah, you have to.
Let me see.
Go up. He's close to the top.
Oh, close to the top. Let me see. Where is he?
Keep going.
I don't
right there. Up. Two up.
He's
Yep,
a guest.
right there.
No, he's not a co-host. Yes.
Okay, how do I vote now? Because I okay.
Do you see the poll?
I see. I don't see the poll now because you are. I'm
you
on the
driving,
phone.
Lionel?
I'm not driving no more. I'm parked, but I'm on the phone.
Good. The streets of Chicago. You're fine.
Okay, thank you very much. So, can you tell us
way I
the
did.
votes that you carried? What are the...
Okay, so I'm going to end the poll at this time. We have representation. We have 20 out of 23, 3 out of... do we agree for me to go ahead and close the poll?
Yes. That's fine.
Okay, thank you. Madam Secretary, these are the results.
Okay, so 87, legal representation 98, and then election in okay, so very good. So these are carried resolutions. Now can I see the that is answered the way forward as far as our next agenda. Can you just please project the agenda for us?
Yes, and I'm going to stop sharing my desktop. That's not my favorite thing to do. Hold on a second. Yes, okay. At this time, we're going to go back to where we started, and we are going to move on to any other business. This is our agenda, and Mr. Chair,
well, is there any other business on from anyone?
No.
No.
We don't try.
And then the next then will be adjournment.
I move a motion for adjournment.
Adjournment till when?
Well, not be when I say first quarter, I'll be where?
Okay, we can move an adjournment for the first quarter of
and then we will announce a date.
So would that be, it will be announced by the caretaker committee, and whether that will coincide with elections or otherwise we need to know.
Yeah, since we have determined that we're going to do election in the first quarter, then the next meeting should come about election.
I mean, there are things we need to do though.
Before the elections, yes.
Before the elections, so I'm not
okay,
sure.
So for the next meeting
meeting
has been moved. The last one was 28th, and then this was just about 6 weeks later. Just to provide people with perspective. So if we have another meeting probably in another 8 weeks, you know, or thereabout, we can say first week, sometime in February, or do we just leave it first quarter?
But if it's just another week, another meeting to determine what we're going to do, we should do it sooner, because this meeting, we had to reach out and do all those things. So now we just have to deal with the election, right? So let's have it.
Well, we have 1 month of break, Christmas period. So there's really nothing people can do. It's not, you can't say 1 month from now. That's the challenging thing. Even 6 weeks people are just trying to settle into the new year. So
yeah, aren't we talking? Didn't we say something about legal? Don't we need to get feedback from legal?
Exactly. That's why I'm saying
We seem
1
to be
month.
jumping straight to
Because
election.
this is holiday or no holiday. If we talk to a lawyer and the lawyer gives us feedback, we want to give feedback to the people.
So another 6 weeks is fine towards the end of January, if possible.
Here's the other thing I'll put out there is we can communicate any urgent things through the platform as well. So
okay, there's Awele has her hand up. Awele, do you want to say something?
You have the
Oh,
microphone.
yes. Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Yeah, well, I think I raised my hand when the last speaker was also talking because I was concerned about the legal, well, I mean, the actions and what's going on with that. But I think, like Dr. Federa said, whatever is decided can be shared on the platform. But however, I think the caretaker committee should also, well, I don't know if based on how the motions are written, if if they have that authority to go ahead, because once the legal, is it a team or whoever we're reaching out to, when we get back or when the caretaker committee gets back information from them, what's the next step? Because I mean, we can meet in another 6 weeks, 8 weeks, but the legal aspects of this whole situation has to move ahead, because by the time you are meeting, let's say sometime in February, and Alex and team have already gone
moving
ahead
forward,
used a lot of the money in the account, it's not really going to
That's
make
what
much
I'm saying.
of the day. So if an injunction, whatever they come up with, but I don't think it should be less than an injunction, right? Not just a cease and desist, because you can say cease and desist and they may not do anything. Well, I mean, I don't understand how those legal things work, but whatever we need is something that will stop them from touching that money, because don't forget that he actually
And it
also
needs to be soon.
he wrote a cease and desist, right? That we don't hold the first meeting, and we held it.
We did.
So I mean, the cease and desist about money is not going to do anything. That's just the plain.
Okay.
So whatever legal.
Very good, very good. So sorry, we're just trying to wrap this up. Okay, it's understood. Maybe we just put 6 weeks from now. It might require this. If there is no need, then we can always seek. We can then communicate that it can hold. So 6 weeks from now will be what dates? I mean, if that's the motion, you can move it for 6 weeks from now, or when, then we can move.
That's January 20th.
January 20th.
There's a point Awele brought up though. Maybe part of that resolution is that this committee has the body's blessing to go all the way through with an injunction.
Yeah.
I think that's where we have the issue of the financial aspect of it. And that's why I made a comment that we should get a group of our internal legal minds to come together and figure out what it's going to cost us to do this. And then you can put it back on the platform so people can respond if they want to move ahead or not. We've already gotten at least $2,000 towards that, but I really think that we need to understand what the financial impact of that is before we say move ahead.
Let's we will meet on January 20th, and if between now and then there is anything significant that arises, the EGA should trust the committee members to bring it to their notice and seek the support.
So are we going to try to find out these legal issues? Like,
of course, that it's a motion that has been passed here. It's now,
and we can act on it before 6 weeks.
We kind of have to. We have to act within the next couple of weeks.
Okay, that's all I want to be sure about.
Right.
That we can act. We can go ahead, do this act Because
Yeah,
this money
this
thing,
is-
it's been a while now.
Yeah, this is William. I had my hand raised. I was just seconding my wife's motion or Joy's motion that as soon as we finish from here, Ife Aguda, we have a whole bunch of people, 4 people, quickly read through what we can do and give some kind of recommendation to the caretaker committee on what we need to do with the injunction. And that way we will have something to report in 6 weeks.
Fantastic.
Motion is moved for meeting to adjourn till January
20th.
Who is seconding that? It's moved by Edith, seconded by.
I'll second it. I've been seconding all day long, so I'll do that. William.
At this time,
I am.
Mr. Chair, give me permission at this time to call this meeting concluded, to thank everyone for your cooperation, to thank you all for your expressions, your candid expressions of your concerns and the way forward. Does anyone else in the room have any comments? You're able to unmute the microphone. Is anyone that has anything on their mind that you have not?
I would like to thank you.
Hold on. The meeting is come to an end. If you want to leave it up for chit chat, but
No, this is not chit chat. I think this is a great opportunity for us to also thank our moderator for the excellent work.
No. I'm just saying that the recorded the part of the meeting, the adjournment and then closing and then If not, you would have said this under AOB, but that's fine. I'm just following protocol of the meeting. But go ahead.
My wife, why is she saying the things I want to say? Go ahead, Mr. O'Meara.
Mr. O'Meara, go ahead. No problem.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That
if somebody win,
the moderator. I mean, this is so fantastic. Makes me want to hold meetings. I don't know why, but you've done a great job. Sorry, Joy, for stealing your thunder. But I was going to say the same thing. That I'm proud to be amongst you people, and she just makes it doubly interesting and inclusive. It's too much English in one day, I beg.
Okay. Now you've spoken. Please, may we invite?
You may not remember. Dr. P is my childhood friend from Falagoro.
We are sisters. We're not friends. We are sisters. We are family.
Are we at Falagoro? Can you imagine?
This madam has been to Nigeria before.
You know the moderator. Was my best friend when we were kids.
Dr. P, Ngozi is my sister. I didn't know you guys were Falagoro people. Congratulations.
Yes.
Nice to know.
Thank you all again. We do want to beg you, we want to appeal that you give us your feedback, evaluation, so that we continue to make these meetings more and more productive, one meeting at a time. I have put the link.
Please.
You're able to visit the sites, you're able to scan. Please let us have your feedback.
Yeah, Mr. Moderator, Miss Moderator, sorry, I have to use you to shine. I want everybody to know that you are from the Houston chapter, okay? She's from my chapter.
Unibank graduate, right?
Yes, from Houston chapter.
I have one request from everyone. I have one request from everyone. When I shout out this call, I want for you all to respond with pride. Great Univen!
Great! I'm so confused.
Thank you all. See you in January. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Dr. Lero. Thank you all for your kind comments. Yes.
You're welcome. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
In advance.
This is your committee. Yes. Thank you all for such hard work. Thank you all.
Thank you for helping us pull this off.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Safe travels as you journey. God bless. bless you all. We're all gonna see 2024 by his grace. See you all and good night.